Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix, the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and speedrun our way through popular or influential games released in a particular year. I am your host, Smooth Operative. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we are headed back to the year 2003 with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and later SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. But of course, before we get started, let's cover a few announcements. First off, if you're watching this on YouTube from the future, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick to check out all of our live shows. For more information, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. Also, for the month of July, GDQ will be donating its portion of Twitch subscriber and bit revenue minus taxes to Doctors Without Borders. This includes gift subs, Prime Gaming subs, regular channel subs, and any bits cheered on the Games Done Quick channel. We ended SGDQ with $2.9 million raised, so let's see if we can get that to $3 million before the month is over. And also coming up, Flame Fatales, August 15th through the 21st. You can go to gamesdonequick.com/Frame Fatales for more information on that. But right now, joining me for Knights of the Old Republic is Sanjan and Indy Kenobi. Welcome, both of you, to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandran. I'll be speedrunning Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 80% glitchless. And with me on my virtual couch is Indy, who is probably one of the very wise old Jedi masters of coder speedrunning. He's been doing this for quite a while.
Thank you, Sanjan. I'm excited to be here and talk about some glitchless KOTOR.
Well, all right. Well, then whenever you are ready, Sanjan, you can give us the countdown.
Yeah, so for this first part, like the new game, we won't be timing it, but I'll be explaining what are the character choices here. So we can choose a class here, but we're going to choose the male scout. And we're going to choose everyone's favorite temporary character, or should I say, his long-lost brother, Trask Jr.
Perfect.
So we're gonna, so we get to spend our attributes here. We're gonna put 18 in strength, 14 in dexterity, 14 in constitution, and 10 in intelligence. So we want strength because strength is the way we deal damage, and it affects our modifiers per to hit, which this game is basically based on the Dungeons and Dragons system. And dexterity means that we're a little bit harder to hit, as well as constitution gives us more survivability. And we have 10 in intelligence, which will be pretty important for our computer spike routing, because there are certain certain computers that we'll need to hack into to go fast. And then we just leave these two as is. Some people prefer to put 10 in wisdom, but I personally just use these since I prefer survivability. So we'll go to that. And then for our skills, we'll put 4 into computer use, because for the beginning section, it's going to let us save one use of a spike, and our computer spike rounding is quite tight. We're going to put 1 point in stealth for, we're not going to be using stealth, but we'll get an item at the beginning, which will help us gain some money. And then we're going to put 4 in treat injury, since we kind of need some healing power, and that's pretty much it. So for our feats, we'll be putting weapon focused melee weapons to help us out in the early game. And then, as an ode to Trask, our hero, you'll name him Trask Jr.
Wonderful.
And then, so, now shoutouts to Range, another fellow runner, for doing this. So I will join him in honor of Trask. So time begins when I press the play button. So we'll be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna start out this game by waking up on a ship that's under siege, because we happen to still be randomly waking up in pretty dangerous spots. So we're gonna be waking up by our brother here. He's gonna say, hey, there's some stuff that came up. Gonna loot this footlocker here.
Okay. Because of the attack,
So this is kind of like a tutorial section here. We're gonna have to open some doors with Trask. I'm gonna give him a blaster pistol here so that he can hit a little bit better. So we're gonna be going through quite a few cutscenes here. So, Indy, would you like to talk to us about the combat system?
Yeah, so the combat system, as Sanjen mentioned, is based on Dungeons and Dragons, which means behind the scenes, everyone is rolling 20-sided dice to decide if they hit each other. Even during certain cutscenes, such as this one, whether the NPCs hit each other is decided by 20-sided dice. So we put a lot of points into strength because that increases our natural attack, so that we don't have to roll quite as high in order to hit people with what will eventually be our lightsaber. Everything is based on these dice rolls, so weapons do certain amounts of damage based on dice rolls. Whether we get force choked by a Dark Jedi is based on how high we roll our dice. So.
Wow. That cutscene was quick. This cutscene is a little RNG because it rolls combat rolls.
Yeah, that's probably the most infamous cutscene that uses combat rolls because the Jedi can just fail to hit the Sith over and over again, and you can lose 10 seconds or more for no reason.
And so we're gonna have Trask beat up these guys while we run around. And so I did that level there because it's mandatory. I skip learning skills because we don't really need to make use of it yet, but Trask is gonna take one for the team.
Thanks, Trask.
Thanks, brother. We'll be seeing that certain person later. Maybe for a little bit. So we're introduced to Karp, who's gonna be a major character in this game, but you don't really make use of him very much unless it's gonna be for some later parts. But this is pretty much like we're just running through and ignoring pretty much almost any mob or any Sith that we come across, unless it's mandatory. So we do run and loot a couple things because our money route is quite tight.
Yeah, so that point we put in stealth at the beginning gives us a stealth field generator in the first footlocker we looted. That sells for 40 credits, and without those 40 credits, we wouldn't be able to afford everything we want. So it's really, really tight at the beginning, and then it kind of opens up a little bit. So one of the properties of this game is cutscenes have a little the beginning of that cutscene.
Oh no.
So we're now running
I
little
think,
bit faster.
as Indy was mentioning, these cutscenes have a little property that kind of lets you have a free period. So I use that to apply a alacrity stim so that we can go fast. Stims are very important in this category.
Yeah, we use a lot of alacrity stims on Terrace because that's the fastest way to move around until we get Jedi who have force speed, which is double movement speed. So then we try to switch to that as much as possible.
Alright, this menu's a little bit scary because I'm not used to it. I'll let Indy explain it.
Yeah, so we're selling all of our stuff that we don't need, but we need to make sure not to sell the stuff we do need. This is actually a fairly recent route change from about 2 weeks ago. So that kind of changed how we spend our credits through the rest of the game. So we built up all this muscle memory for that shopping trip, and now it's all changed. We used to sell a bunch of stuff and then buy a stim and a grenade. Now we sell different stuff and buy both computer spikes because we'll need it to do some of the hacking that Sanjin mentioned earlier.
I see from your...
So we're gonna grab this nerve enhancement package here and buy a bunch of alacrity stims. The nerve enhancement package is pretty important because it makes you immune to some really bad status effects, namely from Dark Jedi. So it's a pretty important pickup, and getting affected by statuses like poison or like stuns from attacks is really bad since you're pretty much just kind of a sitting duck, and we are kind of squishy.
Yeah, the immunity mind affecting means the main thing we have to watch out for is forced choke, which does not fall under the mind affecting status.
Yep.
So we're gonna go fast through tears. So first order of business is to grab a couple Sith outfits. So we just take advantage of these Sith about to have a party here. So we're gonna go crash their party. They also drop some really useful items here, like one of each alacrity. A couple really nice items. Oh wow, I forgot to them up.
Alacrity stims and grenades in particular. We use grenades quite a bit on Terrace for some of the tougher fights because we're not quite strong enough to take some of the stronger bosses on our own. So grenades are quite important in the early game, and then once we get off Terrace, we never use them again.
Yeah, so I delayed putting on Sith armor because I want to grab some light side points from those drunk people. And so we want to stay mostly on the light side, though we will be taking some dark side actions here just for speed because we want to equip a really nice item that we'll get later on called the Solari Crystal for our lightsaber. And the alignment routing is extremely tight.
Yeah, so alignment, you start at 50 and it goes from 0 to 100, where 0 is as dark as you can be and 100 is as light as you can be. You need to be at 60 alignment in order to equip the Solari Crystal. So we don't have to do a whole lot in order to do that, but as Sanchin said, there's a couple dark side actions we're going to take because they save a significant amount of time. So we need to not only get enough light side points to get to 60, but also enough to make up for the dark side points that we get.
And so you'll notice I went in the cantina just to transit in and out. I'm using that to set my warp point for later. We won't be using that now, but it'll be very nice for later.
Yeah, if you haven't played this game, it has a sort of a fast travel option where in places that are peaceful enough, you can transit back to your sort of base and then go back to where you transited from. Normally, that's just used to go back and forth if you want to heal or something, but we can abuse the fact that we get sent back to our hideout here to skip a bunch of running later on.
Don't stun me.
You guys are.
The Volcars there have shock sticks, which have a 25% chance to stun with a difficulty class of 10. So it's not very likely to get stunned by them, but that means it always happens.
Yep. It always happens when you least expect it or when you're on a good pace. The game just decides, nope. You're not being let off that easily.
And the Volcars that spawn here are somewhat random, so they don't always have shock sticks, but you know, just when you're on a good pace, it seems like every Volcar has a shock stick.
Now you also see we got introduced to another big character, Candace.
You two, get out of here! Sorry.
You'll be seeing a little bit of him later, but not for now. And so now we kind of help those beggars out for some nice light side points, and then we're going to take out Carve here so that we can get some nice help on this fight.
Hurry, Hendar! He will make it.
Run, Hendar, run!
Hendar, run!
Yes, run, Hendar.
And if I open the gate, they'll kill us all.
No! You can't do this!
We basically want to use party members as little as possible in this game because party members like to stop and fight enemies, whereas we would prefer to run past them. So we'll use party members when we need to help on certain fights, but otherwise we try to stay solo as much as possible. This isn't always possible due to plot reasons, but I think we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, there are certain places where you're forced to have party members, and party members in this game generally do not like to behave, especially when you want them to the most. And so we met Mission there a little bit ago. She's a Twi'lek who Gadden said could help us out getting through the place. So, and she asked us to help rescue our friendly neighborhood Wookiee Zalbar, Kotor's Chewbacca. Oh, wow, that got hit a lot.
Yeah, these Gamorreans don't have a high chance to hit you, but the ones near Zalbar do a fair amount of damage. So.
Alright, so I'm gonna give Zalbar. I'm actually gonna level Trask Jr. up early here, so I took Empathy there for some extra stats. And then we're gonna break this weapon's footlocker because it has oh my goodness. It has some really nice items and grenades that we want to make use of. And then, yeah, you'll notice I was able to teleport out to this immediately. Would you like to explain kind of party close system?
Yeah, so most places in KOTOR, in order to transition from one area to the next, there's a loading zone that you have to run through. And the game is set up so that if your party members are too far away, you aren't able to go through the load zone. It instead pops up a message saying you must gather your party before venturing forth. That only applies to loading zones, though. There are some places, such as the sewers there, where you can interact with an object in order to go from one place to the next. And those objects do not have the same check to see if your party is close enough. So by leaving mission at the ladder there, we can go rescue Zalbar, bash open the footlocker, and then immediately switch to mission in order to warp out of the sewers quickly.
There's not many areas where we get that luxury, but that's one of the areas where we have that nice little luxury.
Yeah, it's very sparsely used, but it is helpful.
Alright, so we get to this infamous spot which I believe everyone likes, especially I liked in my childhood. We are going to face the Rancor, and if I can do this right, we're going to save the animals.
Very nice.
Don't kill Rancors, please. They're, you know, they just want a hug.
That's a trick known as Rancor juke, where you, well, juke past the Rancor. It doesn't cost that much time to kill it, maybe 15 seconds, but it's actually not that hard to run past it. So.
Yeah, they need to get their full attack animation out in order to kill you, but thankfully, like, if we run fast enough, especially with Alacrity, we can kind of outrun them and outsmart them. Also, this is one of the biggest RNG points, so I need all 3 of those turrets to be stunned, which, first try, very nice.
Very nice. That's a 59.3% chance to stun all 3 turrets with 2 concussion grenades.
Yeah, if you don't get it, you have the luxury of loading your save.
Yeah, so
and it's not a big deal, but the more you do it, the more you lose time, which is, of course, no bueno.
Each try is about 10 seconds.
Right, my Alacrity ran out, that's fine. Yeah, so we chose to help the hidden Becks here because they have a pretty relatively straightforward path, and generally, I believe helping the Volcars gives you lights or dark side points, which is what we kind of don't want. And if we also take the dark side, we have to face Gadin and Kata, and they are very difficult opponents to defeat, especially at our level. So we just take the path of least resistance.
The fight is difficult. We'd get 4 dark side points that we don't want, and the real reason we don't do it is we'd have to run from here to the Beck base and all the way back to the Volcar base, and that's just kind of slow.
So I'm gonna save and load my game because so there's like a weird kind of save timing with these turrets. If you get everything first try, the next time you go through here, the turrets will shoot you, but if you save and reload for whatever reason, it won't shoot you. So this is a pretty smooth Volcar base segment.
Yeah, that was good. First try turrets is always nice, and everything else went well.
Yeah, we used to have to also not only stun the turrets, but also stun a certain droid before. That was very recently routed out.
Yeah, so
you can go.
That was the main crux of the route change from 2 weeks ago. We used to buy a belt called the CNS Strength Enhancer, which is a pretty perfect belt for our build, but also costs 8,500 credits. And so one of the main things we did to afford that belt was bash open a footlocker, which was guarded by a patrol droid who was very difficult to kill, and so we'd stun the patrol droid in order to bash open the footlocker. But that added a second bit of RNG to that Volcar base, and skipping it turns out to save, you know, between 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how unlucky you are.
Yeah, it does come at a cost though. Like, you kind of, the RNG used to be much more concentrated on tiers, but now it's kind of dispersed because since we do lack some gear, there's more things that around that can kind of troll us that used to not be able to really troll us before. So we have to we keep that in mind, but the benefits do outweigh the negatives. And yes, this is pod racing.
Yes. The main thing for the CNS belt is you lose 2 strength, which basically means you have a 10% lower chance to hit everyone after you would have equipped the belt. And so, because everything is based on dice rolls, we have to roll a little bit better than we did before in order to maintain the same pace.
Yeah, so a little bit quick update on the plot. Yeah, we had to go rescue Bastila, and turns out she's kind of being offered for as a reward for winning the soup races here. So that's why we went through all of that trouble to grab the soup accelerator and help out the hidden Becks.
Yeah, there's one little trick here with the swoop races. You can shift, I believe, 4 times total until you reach maximum gear. It's actually faster only for the Terra swoops to only shift 3 times, so you stay in the sort of second to last gear. It saves about a second on each race, and seems to be related to the swoop accelerator plot point. They messed with the acceleration and made it faster to not shift all the way.
If we won the race, so I'm gonna get Bastila back, but spoilers. Bradrick's not going down without a fight.
You ever
So we used to chuck a whole bunch of grenades at him, but now we chuck a poison grenade and 2 sonics.
This is another consequence of the route change. Frag seems to be good enough. We actually want to save our frag grenades for a different fight later now.
Oh, good. Nice Bastila. Trask Jr., come on, buddy.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, so we use a poison grenade on him since I believe he has a 100% chance to get poisoned.
Yes.
And then a sonic grenade for some damage. So sonic grenades don't always hit good damage, but when they do,
The
it's
sonic,
pretty much
yeah,
go ahead.
The sonic grenades are 50-50 to do either 10 or 20 damage. If they both hit for 20, then he's dead immediately. If one hits for 20, then he usually dies fairly soon after from the poison.
Yeah, so I took out Bastila here because she's gonna be our it's gonna be used pretty much for 4 speed.
I'm here.
Yep. Level up faster too. So
I'm here.
So 4 speed gives you a 50% movement speed boost, whereas regular Alacrities only give you a 20% boost. And so our characters will follow us as long as they are being nice at about pretty much the same speed. So that's why I want to keep Bastila with us. Come on. Trask Jr.
I'm here.
It's stuck on the whole cars sometimes.
Yeah.
I had thought 4 speed was a double movement speed
Yes.
rather than 50%.
I think it is. Yeah, it is double movement speed. I thought it was like basically like 50%. And then Alacrities are I think 20, and then Hypers are 30%.
Yeah, that's right.
So we
Yes.
used to have to do shopping here, but now we don't have to do it.
What can I do?
And then now we're gonna have Bastila take us to the Sith base. Hey, Trask Jr., I know you like that Sith guard, but
Need
come on,
solo
buddy.
mode.
What can I do?
Come on, buddy.
So there's a little trick that we did there by using solo mode to go and talk to the Twi'lek. By clicking on the elevator afterwards, we were able to warp our main character back to that spot and save a little bit of running. And now
Alrighty,
we're
so-
headed into the Sith base.
Yep, so we had to grab T3 there. You also notice we got some dark side points because Well, there's no way we're paying 2,000 credits to buy T3, so we just threaten her.
We only have 12 credits right now, so we kind of can't afford it.
And we're kind of big time broke.
Sure.
Hopefully she'll understand. We got people to save. Yeah, so Candace, who we talked to earlier, basically kind of asked us that in order to help him out to get off this planet, he knows how a way to get off this planet, but we need to fetch him some codes from the Sith base. And this place is probably the most scariest place because you don't really do that much damage, and you kind of want T3 to do his job, or do its job, as we're gonna see here in a little bit. Not really this fight, because this fight's not that bad. This fight would be nice if I throw this concussion grenade in to get stunned. No wishful thinking. It's okay.
Yeah, the concussion grenade there makes the droid a lot easier for Zalbar and Tressel to hit. You can get through it without, it just takes longer.
Yeah. Yeah, this droid has a decent amount of defenses and lots of shields, so thankfully I got some good hits on them. So here comes the scariest fight. Honestly, scariest fight in the game.
Yeah. The Sith Governor.
Going to the T3 attack is done. Oh, nice stun. Yeah, so T3 has a stun rate that's conveniently used to stun, and I think it's about a 50% chance to stun him, something like that. I'm not sure.
25 actually. It's not very good, but he does get multiple attempts at it, so.
So
Well,
that was actually
really
a pretty
nice.
good, pretty good segment. So yeah, as long as T3 hits a stun and my party members deal enough damage, because he can get unstunned, then if T3 doesn't hit any more stun rays, then it's not a good deal, because the Sith Governor can do a lot of troll stuff. He can stasis your party members. He can drain life from them. The list goes on.
He likes to chain drain life when he gets low on
What
health,
can
so
I
having
do?
him stunned is really important for that fight to go well. And that was pretty good. That was a pretty good Governor fight.
Yeah, that was pretty, that was a lot better than some of the Governor fights I've seen. So I'm gonna take out Bastila again for a free taxi. And then we're gonna take her out because we kind of don't need her anymore. And she's gonna get trapped with all these people anyways. And so you guessed it, we're almost off Terrace. Now we can go talk to Candace here.
I figured.
Oh, did I not loot the... Oh, there we go. I thought for a second I didn't loot it. There's a little bit of foreshadowing in this cutscene. And since we're running in glitchless, there's gonna be plenty of those unskippable cutscenes, so you have plenty of rest points.
Yep.
Destroy the entire planet.
The entire planet.
Yeah, Malik, the big baddie of this game, decided he had enough of trying to find Bastila, and then it's kind of like, well, you know what? Might as well go all out. So, yeah. And blow up the entire planet, all for one person. No, just Sith things.
Yeah, just the thing.
Makes perfect sense, really. So the next area is Davik's estate, and normally you're supposed to rescue Davik's pilot, and he gives you the codes to the Evan Hawks hangar. But since we were very careful with our computer spike routing, we can actually use T3 to hack through the security and skip having to go out of our way for the pilot. So it's a very easy thing to do, but it's something that wasn't realized until a couple iterations into this route.
Yeah, their Coder speedrunning has had quite the history.
Yeah, it's over 10 years now worth of history for speedrunning this.
Yeah, I'm one of the newer crew. Indy's one of the... Indy's probably one of the oldest speedrunners of this game. When did you start speedrunning? E3, please.
I started this in 2015, which is earlier than most, but later than some.
All T3, you poor thing. Okay.
So this is the other reason why party members are somewhat frustrating to have to use. They get confused very easily. So having party members follow you is an inexact science at best.
I knew they'd turn on us sooner or...
This fight with Callow and Davik is easiest to finish by targeting Callow because the fight ends when he drops below 50% health. We used to have plasma grenades to throw at him, but that's in the footlocker that we skipped in the Volcar garage. So now we're going to use a slightly different strategy involving frag grenades instead.
Will kill us all.
I'm gonna target. I'm gonna throw a bunch of frag grenades, which is T3, and use a shield disruptor, and then we're gonna throw a couple more grenades. I think everyone sees the pattern for this first part. And that's the fight.
Yep.
Nice.
T3's shield disruptor is really important here because it deals a flat 20 damage to Callow, and you only have to deal 72 damage to trigger him in the fight. We used to be here without that shield disruptor because we used to sell it to get us towards the CNS belt, but since we're skipping that now, we don't have to worry about it.
And we're off terrace.
Yep.
I did that on the clip because we're going to be we can't be really using that armor soon enough, as you all see. And then we get some more cutscenes where Terrace gets to go bye-bye.
Resume the bombardment, Commander.
Malik being evil somewhat.
Wipe this pathetic planet from the face of the galaxy.
And then so we're gonna go through our good old escape here.
Plot a course for Dantooine. There's a Jedi enclave there where we can find
So
refuge.
is this a good time to talk a little about the history of this?
Sure, we've just got a couple
Gun
fighters.
turrets. You
Yeah,
have
we
to
gotta
hold the Sith fighters off until
kill the
we
fighters.
Have the same
Fighters.
spawn.
Coordinates punched in.
Pretty straightforward minigame.
So, outdoor speedrunning has been around for quite a long time. Glitchless has been a less popular category because up until fairly recently, the game really wasn't broken enough to merit the glitchless category. As far as I know, Dr. Applesponge was one of the first to do glitchless runs of this game. And then it sort of sat dormant while everyone was focused on any percent until early in 2016 when I did a few runs that were basically any percent but don't do the glitches. So I did some at the beginning of 2016 and then it was pretty dormant again until just 2 years ago. And 2 years ago was right around the time that any percent became pretty broken in this game with the discovery of glitches such as the anywhere menu glitch and hot shots and all of that lovely stuff that we're not going to do today.
So you are the one who rescued
that
Bastila.
made glitchless a
It is
much more
appropriate
interesting
you are
category
here.
because it was much
We have been discussing
it was
your
more
rather
different than any
special
percent
case.
was.
I am Jean,
And so
a member of the Jedi
around that
Company.
time,
Me,
a runner
Master
named
Vroom,
30 Cents
Master
started
Vandar,
working
and of
on
course the
glitchless for
chronicler
this
of our
game
academy,
and
Master Doran.
got
Padawan Bastila,
past
I am
my
sure you are
record, and then we
already
kind of went back and
familiar.
forth for a little bit. And that's when we started looking for route improvements that would only be done in glitchless as opposed to other places. So 30 Cents and I went back and forth for a little while. We got the time down to about 2 hours, and then it was quiet again for a little bit. And then last year, we had some more route changes involving moving planets around and changing shopping routes and things like that. And that got the run down below 2 hours for the first time to around 157. And that's when Sanjin came in and decided to be really good at glitchless. And between her skill and the recent route changes that we mentioned, the time's all the way down to 153 now.
You have chosen to walk is difficult.
Yeah, the record's a 153.49. Thanks to like literally all the changes. Like, Indy and 30 are really good routers
Truly understand the way of the
of
Jedi.
glitchless, as well as everyone's little individual contributions.
Seek wisdom in the teachings
Yeah,
of the
so
great
we don't get any new glitches in this category, obviously, but we can find little things like on Kashyyyk, if you set your transit point in a certain place, that saves about 10 seconds of running. If you do the planet Korriban second, that can save up to a minute because there's no fight in a certain location. So just little things like that have slowly chipped away, and the category is actually really
Your potential is unlimited.
really smooth now. It's really nicely routed. It feels fast, and it's all sorts of fun to run. So if you're interested in KOTOR and like glitchless runs, you should consider it.
Well, thanks
And
for
there's
the
plenty.
facts. That was really cool history. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we've got facts for everyone because there's plenty of cutscenes here. Also, we are going to memorize the Jedi code here. I don't remember the Jedi code here. The Sith code is like 10 times cooler.
63264. That's the Jedi code.
Yep. So, yeah, we became a Jedi now, so I'm gonna do a couple level ups here, and we're gonna get our Persuade to 9, the rest of my points that I can to treat injury. I get Effect Mine. Hello, please, thank you. Also, Indy, I'm sorry I didn't put clothes on Trash Jr., but
That's okay.
I hope you'll forgive me.
I forgive you. It's technically faster to not put clothes on him, but I do anyway. Becoming a Jedi here actually gives you enough experience to get to the next level. So we get to level 4 on Terrace so that we get a feat called Implant 2, which is what we need to equip that nerve enhancement package for mind-affecting immunity. But then we save the rest of our levels for when we become a Jedi, and we end up with enough experience to immediately get both level 5 and 6. So we get Force Speed and Force Valor. We get Effect Mind so that we can save on some credits.
What did I do here? What in the world? Oh, give me a moment. This is I think I forgot to talk to...
Tajar again.
Yeah.
You have to talk to Jar like 4 times here in order to exit the Enclave, so...
Yeah, so sometimes it's very easy to forget in the heat of the moment.
Yep.
Alright, so... Yeah, so our first big task is to kind of like find out or kind of like try to redeem one of the Jedi that kind of turned to the dark side. So I'm gonna be pals and help them out as part of our Padawan training.
It's
And
fast.
also,
It's
You can
faster
go
to be
ahead.
pals with Juhani coming up here.
yeah. You also notice we picked the Jedi Guardian for our Jedi class. The Jedi Guardian has some really nice benefits that you see, primarily like more damage, but also force jumps. Force jumps are, since we can't use glitches, force jumps as well as force speed is our fastest form of movement. And being good at it is a little bit like an art, because good runners will know how, like which mobs to jump and how to get themselves the most optimal positioning. So we're here now.
This fight with Juhani can be a bit inconsistent because we're not quite strong enough to have a good chance to hit her right now. Depending on how many buffs and such we have between a 35 and 60% chance to hit her. So we just have to kind of hope we roll well. That was a pretty good one.
That wasn't too bad. Yeah, it's even more inconsistent now that we're kind of down some of the standard stims we have, so you'll see why I picked up a battle stim there. Alright, Trash Jr. Come on, buddy, I believe in you. You gotta avenge your brother.
That's a
Right,
pretty typical
so-
Juhani fight, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right, so now that we've redeemed Juhani, now we get to go back, find out our next steps of becoming a full-fledged Jedi.
Should I talk a little about what's banned and what isn't in this category?
Yep, that sounds good.
So glitchless, as you might expect, bans pretty much all the glitches except for the ones that are basically unavoidable. And there's two main ones that are unavoidable: fast text and what we call duration glitch. So fast text is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, if you play the game long enough, the game won't be able to load audio files, and so you're able to just spam through text as fast as possible without having to have the game load the audio files. This game has a pretty severe memory leak to the point where it's only just possible to do an entire glitchless run without resetting the game to clear it. So there will be certain points during the run where the audio for the dialogue doesn't load and we can just mash through the text really fast. So that's one of the allowed glitches. The other is called duration glitch, and it's basically you can make stims and other buffs last longer than they're supposed to. So you might notice that Sanjin cast Force Speed and it's still active. There's supposed to be a 36-second limit on Force Speed, but under certain circumstances you can just, basically if you go through load zones enough, you can extend that. We don't fully understand duration glitch, and it's impossible to avoid without just deciding not to use any buffs at all. So that is also allowed. One thing that is not allowed is quick saving, because quick saving is a glitch. It's so glitchy that we just ban it outright in this category. You can still make manual saves if you want to do a safety save or something, but you cannot quick save.
Yeah, you'll notice that I throughout Terrace, I did all manual saves and not quick saves as well. And yeah, with the duration glitch, if we banned it, we basically had to reset after every room.
Yeah.
Which, not a very fun experience. Also, I looted that droid out of habit, but I guess I'll take the extra money.
Yeah. Duration glitch actually ends up being a pretty important part of the run because it affects how many stims we buy and where we choose to put them on. It's carefully calibrated so that duration glitch gives us the maximum benefit we can get. So it's unfortunate that we have to include it in a glitchless category, but it actually is to some pretty interesting routing. So there's good and bad.
Yeah, and so what we discovered there was a good old star map. It basically kind of tells us where things are, and then that's our Padawan training, but we're gonna be sent on a pretty grand adventure soon, and this is pretty much kind of like the end of all the linear stuff and the start of a more open world experience.
What it was that Revenant returned to your ship with Bastila.
From here, there's basically 4 planets you can go to that each have a star map that you have to obtain. And so one of the most important things in routing the category is what order do you do those middle planets in? And we basically, there are very important reasons for each planet being in each spot that we'll probably talk about as we get to those planets, but the planet order is super important for this category.
No. Where are you at?
Oh, we're doing the orange robe.
Oh, just for you.
Thanks.
Oh, we're gonna put on some gear here. Not that much. Oh.
That's a visual glitch that happens sometimes when you upgrade your lightsaber. Sometimes it ends up looking like you're carrying one vibroblade in your offhand.
That's my first time seeing that. I've actually never had that happen to me before.
It happens to me from time to
Surprisingly
time,
enough.
but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, so now we're pretty much free to go to any of the couple planets that were from our memory. So we choose Manon first because Manon is a pretty simple planet. We don't really need to do that much combat in there. It's just mainly a lot of running around.
Yeah, in fact, Manon is the only planet where we don't have to kill anything at all. So it doesn't really matter that we have a hard time hitting things at this point because we don't actually have to
During the
hit anything.
Mandalore Wars, he was honored many times for his bravery.
You know this man?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is kind of like there's a decent amount of foreshadowing that will go on with these cutscenes.
You acquire
like in terms like the people you might face, etc. Also, we killed Caleb, but he's back. I don't know how he survived that, but you know, props to him.
Apparently he's hard to kill.
A Jedi and a war hero. It's a wonder you survived the encounter.
I am hard to kill, Lord Malik.
Carlo has agreed to help us capture the young bastila for a very hefty fee.
Yeah, so
But I assure you,
pretty much throughout this place, there'll be a lot of stuff chasing us down, but thankfully we don't have to do very much in Manon, and the planet order is actually pretty specific.
Lord Malik, forgive me.
Since right now we're pretty underpowered, and then as we get on, we'll be able to get items. We basically want to do Manon first to help us fund items for the next planet that we'll be visiting.
Yeah,
which has some very nice items that we can get.
We get credits to buy really good stims for fights, and we get experience, which pushes us towards level 9, because at level 9 we get night speed, which has the same movement speed bonus, but also gives us 1 extra attack per combat round. And so that's a very important skill for us to get for the run.
Hello, Zalwar. Zalwar tells us about some stuff. So we're going to take T3 out because if we didn't go alone, we get a cutscene here that is very slow. And we also specifically picked T3 because if we get any other party members out, they're going to bug us and want to talk to us, which, you know, we don't want to talk to them.
Yeah, what?
We're not interested in their past.
T3 is a good droid. He stays quiet.
I'm going to buy some stims here. I bought the wrong stim, whatever. Fine. I wanted to buy Hyper Alacrity there, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, we need some alacrities for certain places, and we want, pretty much anytime we have a forced fight, we want to have as good strength stims and battle stims as we can get to give ourselves the highest chance we can have to hit things.
Yeah, I intentionally buy regular alacrities because we're also going to take advantage of the speed system. Because if we use an alacrity, like in general places where like we're running for a very long time without transitioning to other areas, so we're running for a very long time, then we eventually our force speed will wear off, and if we have like any alacrity attached to us, it'll still have the effects of the full force speed. So it's going to come in useful for a couple places here in this category.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird quirk of how they check for speed buffs, that as long as you have any speed buff active, it keeps your highest speed buff.
Now we're gonna... So, in the vision that we saw, you didn't see it because I have cutscenes or movies turned off. Our star map was underwater. So we're just doing the fastest path to get underwater, which means we're gonna help out the Republic here. And the Republic wants us to find some information on the Sith. So we're gonna be a pal and help them out. Because it's pretty quick.
Yep.
Also, we ditched T3 because we don't want him. Not because we don't want him, we just don't like our party members. We're lone wolves.
We're about to run past a bunch of bad guys, and T3 would do his best to kill them. Unfortunately, his best is not that good. He has other skills.
Yeah, he's useful in other places. T3's useful in other places. Unfortunately, sometimes not combat.
Is T3 the best droid?
I don't know, chat. Well, what's chat's opinion?
I have an opinion. I'm a HK person.
Yeah. If you're an HK person,
47.
I have bad news for you.
You don't get him, do you?
He will not be appearing in this run.
I was gonna ask that earlier. I was like, so which companions are we completely skipping here?
He is, in fact, the only companion that we completely skip.
Yeah, I'm sorry, HK fans, we completely skip him.
He's actually the only one you can completely skip in glitchless. You can skip others in more glitched categories, but in glitchless, HK is the only one you can skip, and we do, because it's faster.
I mean,
he's not.
if it's for
HK's not
speed.
used for. HK's not used for anything. So, I'm sorry, HK fans.
Sorry, y'all. We're just gonna have to try to hold it together for the rest of the run, knowing we won't get HK.
Hang in there, everyone.
And we get everyone else because they're kind of on the way and kind of forced on us. At least for if we want to go fast.
Do either of you have a favorite companion just in general?
I'm partial to Bastila, personally.
Fair. Bastila's really cool.
Basta is. I like Basta. Basta's like this very sassy, like, bossy person who's just like, you know. Not in a bad way, but it's just like, you know, she knows. She's like very. She like knows what she wants. Type
Yeah.
of deal.
Yeah,
And-
she's cool.
But my personal favorite character is Canderous. Just because he has that very badass mercenary-like feel, and I like those types of characters.
Classic.
Canderous will have a starring role a little bit later, so
Nice.
Also, Juhani's a very cool character, too.
Juhani's such a brat.
I think that was the first instance of fast text that we've seen.
For whatever happens, it's only on this planet, but then, like, it restores itself, like, on the next planet.
I think it depends on the size of the module that you're in. This Crackard Station is a pretty big module with a lot of stuff in it, and so the game has a lot to load in, and the audio files are one of the things that it decides not to. I might be completely lying about that, but that's sort of how I think of it.
There's a lot of, like, very technical things about this game. Especially, like, if you're getting to, like, the dark side glitch land.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Glitches are a product of the dark side that we do not want to deal with.
So if you play this game casually, you may remember this underwater section as being very, very slow. It is still very, very slow in the speed run, but by casting for speed and using an alacrity before going underwater, we have twice the slow speed that we used to have. So it's a little bit faster.
There's only one other, like, incredibly small little part that we'll be seeing later that we actually can't use forward speed for. We just have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's very
Also.
sad. This is also a place where we use an alacrity on top of the speed because the speed will not last the entire length of this underwater segment, but the alacrity will. So when the speed runs out, the alacrity will allow us to keep our highest running speed until we get to the end.
So you see there's these Phyrexian sharks who one-hit you. And we grab the sonic emitter to take care of them, but you'll notice that I'm not using it from the game itself. I'm using it in the inventory. It's because if you use it in the overworld, it has an animation that stalls you for a couple seconds, but if you use it from the inventory, there's no animation to it. It's just animation.
The same is
That's why-
actually, yeah, the same is true for both stims and med packs. We try to use them from the menu whenever possible to avoid the little animation where you stick yourself in the leg.
You can still use it, like, in some instances, like where you open the door. And some doors do take a little bit to open, and you can take that time to usually use a med pack.
Yes.
I won't let you open the door for those.
We're,
Oh, that RNG. That's rude.
that's rough. These scientists are deciding to depressurize you because, I don't know, they're crazy.
Travis does not look like a monster. Like, come on.
Yeah. We're looting these footlockers because they have computer spikes in them, and we will need 8 computer spikes at the end of the game. And it's really disheartening to get to the end of the game and realize you don't have enough computer spikes.
Yeah, that's happened to me once or twice. It is extremely unfortunate, so...
It's
Level up here, get temper blade, improve flurry, and dominate mine. So pretty much all of our force powers are geared towards, like, offensive force powers, but we always want our force speed to be, like, the first thing that we can easily cast. I'm gonna do this puzzle real quick.
This is a very difficult logic puzzle. If you have played it casually, it's one of those puzzles where you have 3 containers of a certain size, and you're supposed to fill them and empty them into each other to reach a specific amount of liquid in a certain container. For me, the solution is 1, 2, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, 5, 4, or something like that.
Yeah, most runners will actually kind of have like a little like notes with like the charts for each conversation, usually written in numbers. This might be surprising, but I still don't memorize like the cultural stuff. I look at the notes and then just like menu it based on where my number keys are. Cause it's too much brain power for me to memorize them all. So
I've been running this long enough. I've been running this long enough that I don't have notes for it anymore. The only category I have notes for is glitchless all quests. So we actually recently reorganized our leaderboards to have 2 categories, any percent, which is what we're doing right now, and all quests, which is completing all the quests in the journal. But we also, for each of those categories, have 3 different rule sets for how, like what kinds of glitches you can use. So there's unrestricted, which is use as many glitches as you want. There's glitchless, which is what we're doing right now, glitchless any percent. And then there's no major glitches, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We ban all the major glitches, but allow minor glitches for things like skipping cutscenes and other such things. So
yeah, no major glitches any percent is a pretty friendly category for those new decoder speedrunning, and it's a nice category to do if you want to do like glitches, but don't want to like overly break the game.
Yeah. The
also,
current...
I'm gonna say hi to our buddy. What's up?
Hi,
What's up,
Callow.
homie? Bye, Callow.
Bye, Callow. Turns out you don't have to kill him. Killing him was actually in an old route because he has a lot of money and experience, but it's slower to kill him, so we just wave as we go by.
Just show them your cool lightsaber and proceed.
Exactly.
And just show them our cool force jump powers, and we're like, oh, gotta go, see ya.
It's like, sorry, we got important Jedi stuff to do. Like, don't have time, man.
Yeah. This is actually one of my favorite route optimizations coming up here. So there's a trial here about what you just did underwater. And it is faster to be banned from the planet. So we try to force persuade the judges that we didn't do anything wrong, and they're like, okay, you're banned, get off our planet.
Yeah, they find out we're trying to use our mind tricks on them. They're like, nope, you gotta go anyways. But we already got what we want, and we don't like... Or Trash Jr. does not like fish people anyway, so...
Manon's just too stuffy, too neutral. It's just not fun.
That's like a really funny optimization, actually.
I think it was 30 Cents who came up with that one. I think that was one of his optimizations. It is a fun one for sure.
No, that...
Korriban is
so
second.
We're on our next planet here at Korriban, which is a nice place to go. So now we're gonna do a really important shopping menu here. After we go through this last cutscene here, and I'll let Indy explain our new optimization.
So it turns out that Korriban has the most of the high-end stims and med packs at this shop here. So we are going to sell all the stuff we've been collecting except what we really need, and then we buy all the stims and med packs that we need for the rest of the run. We used to do this shopping trip at the end of this planet because there's a lot of credits that you can loot from forced fights, but it involved having to run back into this little sort of enclave here, and that wasted time. So by getting enough credits, most of the credits that we would have spent on the CNS belt, we can now spend here to get our stims. So that's one of the reasons we come to Korriban first. The second reason, or rather second, the second reason is the Solari crystal is here, and we want to get that as early as we can. And there's a third reason, but I'll mention that when it comes.
I'm gonna talk to the Sith guard here. He tells us to go talk to Udara in the cantina to get in, because we totally want to become a Sith. There's our dark side evil, quote unquote evil action. So I'm gonna do a safety save here. You can fail this.
It is a 75% chance to pass that persuade check, and we made it. There's actually a very important alignment point here. If you are at 61 alignment or higher when you talk to Euthura, you get the option to lie to her about becoming a Sith rather than just persuade her. If you persuade her without lying, you gain some dark side points that we want to avoid. And so it's really important to be at 61 alignment before you try to persuade her, because then you don't get any additional dark side points.
And so the basis of what we want to do on here is to get Uthar, or Master Uthar's favorite, who is the leader of the Sith here. So we have to do like a pretty specific amount of stuff here, because I believe it operates on the point system. So whether or not you can gain Uthar's favor, and certain actions that you do will gain favor.
We call them prestige points, and there are 10 available prestige points on Korriban. We need 5 of them to gain his favor, enough for him to take us to the star map. And so there was a lot of routing that went on back in like 2015, 2016 about which of the 10 prestige points are fastest to get. Turns out you can only get 4 inside the academy, so we do have to leave the academy and come here to the Valley of the Dark Lords. Fighting Lasho actually gives you 2, because you get 1 for the holocron you take from her, and 1 for admitting that you kill her, which I guess is a slight spoiler, because we haven't yet killed her. Sorry.
Alright, so SMH. Anyway, so we're gonna have our first instance of using our good old buddy stims here. And stims are basically gonna be a large amount of our damage dealing, because they give us quite a bit of stats that are kind of necessary for us to be able to proceed, because as you're gonna notice, especially later on, we're gonna be extremely under-leveled.
Yeah, the max level we're going to reach is 12. Which, if you've run, or if you've seen like any percent unrestricted speedruns, 12 feels really high, because I think any percent unrestricted finishes at level 2 now.
Really? I thought it was like level 5.
I think you get enough experience for level 5, but I don't think you actually have to level to 5. I think you can finish the game at level 2.
Alright, because we got the fabled Gouda cheese.
Yeah.
Which, if you ever want to see what the Gouda cheese, definitely watch an any percent run. It's quite the trip.
If you like glitches in your speed game, any percent unrestricted is for you.
Yeah, if you're one of those dark side people,
Yeah, seriously.
glitches are the way to go, though. I would think those powers are far beyond the capabilities of even the dark side people, but I'll let Indy explain this, because I do have to focus for this.
Yeah, so we're talking to Uthar and telling him about all the great stuff we did in order to gain his favor. So we tell him that Uthar is plotting against him for 1 prestige point. We tell him that Cal Alwyn is considering leaving the Sith for a 2nd prestige point. The Sith code we recite is always the same, but the question he asks you afterwards is actually random. So we have to go slow enough to read the question before we can respond to it.
So then,
That's another prestige point, and then Lasho is the last 2 that we mentioned. So that gets us enough prestige to reach the tomb of Naga Sada.
Yep, and this is the final point of our Sith trial. So they want us to find a star map, which coincidentally, also an artifact, I believe, which coincidentally we're also looking for, so 2 birds with 1 stone, eh?
Yep. It's amazing how these things work out.
Thankfully, we exactly know what our way to get around here is, and I'm gonna go take a free horse jump ride. Taxi ride, I should say, and grab this maid here. And I'm just gonna casually run past them.
Yeah, if you didn't know, you don't have to kill the Terran Tataks in this room. You just have to hit the lever.
they do hurt, but
Yes.
they don't seem to hit you that often. So actually, these guys can kind of troll you a little bit. Please no, I didn't do it. Wasn't me.
Sanjin also just looted the Solari crystal in that same room with the Terrantatics, so we'll be equipping that once we get back to the Ebon Hawk.
And that's the reason why we kind of want we want to be attuned to the light side.
Yes. You could forego the Solari crystal and do a lot more evil stuff in the early game, but the Solari crystal is just really useful against Dark Jedi and specifically on the Starforge at the end. So as of
So
now,
we're coming
we
up
still
to
get it.
So,
the next other scariest fight with the new route changes. Oh, that's very good.
That was good. Yeah.
That's a very good fight.
Uthar has if he decides to cast Force Choke on you, he has a very high chance of hitting. And I've had a fight with Uthar where he Force Choked me 4 different times and used Death Field to heal to full 3 different times. So that can go very poorly, and that was actually pretty good.
Yeah. In my PV, I had to fight him effectively twice because he decided to Death Field to full. The character did not kill Uthar in time. Pretty unfortunate. Ideally, you just want to end that fight as soon as possible.
It's actually possible there to not fight Uthar at all if you side with him and just kill Euthira. The problem is that gives you so many dark side points that sort of accounting for those dark side points takes too much time over just killing Uthar first and then sparing Euthira. It's like 5 seconds slower to skip Uthar, and I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, we just decided to take the risk just because the alternative is a little too much.
So there's something very subtle here, which is the third reason we do Korriban second. Sanjin just returned to the Ebon Hawk, which she can do because there's no enemies around. The reason there's no enemies there is because by doing this planet second, we are after Calo Nord's encounter, but before Darth Bandon's encounter. And so neither of those encounters happen if you do Korriban second. If we did it first or third, we get either Calo or Bandon, and we wouldn't be able to return to the Ebon Hawk there. We'd have to run through the Academy and back through Dresde to get to the Ebon Hawk. So that was a older route change, but it seems very subtle, but it actually saves about a minute.
But the failure was Calo's, not yours.
Yeah, you also notice I intentionally tried to kill the Shirek because killing some of the Shirek give you level 9, and level 9 is a pretty important milestone because we learn Night Speed. And unlike Burst of Speed, which is the regular Force Speed, Night Speed also gives you an extra attack per round, which increases our DPS by quite a bit.
And we are going to have to fight some things on our next planet, which is Tatooine.
And also say hello to the person who killed our brother.
Poor Trask.
Poor Trask. We'll avenge Trask.
And bring her to me, alive, if possible.
as you command.
Yeah, so you get Kalo and Bandon on the first and third planets, respectively.
So that's why Calo showed up on Manan, and is why Bandon will show up here on Tatooine.
And yeah, you're also going to see later on that we're going to do some pretty fun stuff. Also, rest in peace, Kalo. He still somehow died.
Yeah.
Probably,
The cell cath got him.
yeah. Pretty bad RNG.
In the end, he wasn't that hard to kill.
They just needed to, get good. He didn't get good, so that's how it be.
If you don't get good, you get got.
So there's no specific reason for Tatooine to be third, but there is a reason for Kashyyyk, which is the last planet, to be fourth. If we do Kashyyyk last, we can
Can I help you?
skip a fairly long conversation, which I'll talk more about when we get there. So we have reasons for Manan to be first, Korriban to be second, and Kashyyyk to be fourth, which leaves Tatooine in the third slot.
Yeah, I believe even if you chose Kashyyyk for some reason, you can still be somewhat okay, but Tatooine's just more convenient to do third and Kashyyyk last.
Yeah.
Is it Kashyyyk or Kashyyyk?
It was Kashyyyk in my head until it actually appeared in episode 3, and it was suddenly Kashyyyk.
No one.
I still go back and forth on it. I do Kashyyyk or Kashyyyk.
Yeah, so we're gonna take this quite specific path. You'll notice I have myself aligned with the sand crawler here near its very, I guess, front tires. Yeah, it's the front, I guess.
I don't actually know
Because
which end is the front.
there's a pretty large amount of areas where we could get ambushed by sand people, and while it's not a big deal, it wastes a couple time because we have to watch the cutscene, and we hate cutscenes.
Yeah, cutscenes are bad.
So yeah, this is why I don't take like the fastest path. I take a very specific like kind of crossway path here. And then we're gonna kill one of the sand people here while stimming up. Also, Stim's are your best friend. That was not a good first round. That was a good second round though.
Night speed gives you a lot of leeway on these fights on Tatooine. If you're going absolutely as fast as possible, you may not get night speed until after you visit the Enclave. But killing those Chirac is convenient because you want to force jump to them anyway, and getting night speed early enough basically saves you combat rounds here.
Yeah. So we can't access like the other side of the map until we beat up these sand people. So we're gonna show up in their place uninvited and basically beat up the sand chieftain.
We forgot to wave to HK.
Well, you know what?
What?
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
We're too broke anyways to afford HK.
Seriously, it's like 5,000 credits or something? The
Yeah.
What's
I already
the
spent all of our
budget?
money on stims.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the budget for this run?
So since we skipped the CNS belt, I think in total we spent something like 7,800 credits.
Okay.
Roughly. Which in the grand scheme of things is not that much.
No, not really.
And we pick up a lot less though to make up for it, so we're still pretty broke.
Yeah.
And there are ways to get the money. Well, I could have gotten the money, but probably just leave poor Uthar there to suffer. Okay, we'll get HK another time.
Yeah.
We need
Probably,
to make the HK category a thing.
Well, you do get HK in all quest runs because he's required to finish a quest. So
I was
if
gonna
you're in-
ask, what is the time difference in between like something like this, any percent glitchless and all quests glitchless?
So the all quest glitchless record right now is a 3 hour and 6 minute time,
Okay.
which was mine. But only 2 people have been brave enough to run glitchless all quests. So there's
Ooh.
opportunity there.
There's a challenge for y'all.
Yes, to give you a sense of how broken this game is, the unrestricted all quest run is an hour and 44 minutes, I think.
An hour and 43 minutes. I have a 144. Oh, actually 142.
Maybe it's
So I have
142,
a
yeah.
144. The record is a 142.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Not too intimidating.
Yeah, almost cuts it in half compared to the glitchless run.
Cool.
The any percent unrestricted record right now is, 26 minutes and 50 something seconds.
Just under 27 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 26.
IGT. So we use in-game time for our timing, which means that we subtract loads.
Yes. there's a load remover because we try to account for differences in PC hardware.
Yeah,
That
that's
has benefits and drawbacks depending on how many glitches you're doing. Because if you have quick saves, every time you quick save, it pauses the timer. So
Let's go forward.
Oh, I see. Now, is the IGT mentioned like after you beat the game in game, or it's also something that you have to manually put together?
it is not in game. So
Okay.
if you don't, so as long as you have live split, the load remover is very easy to get. But if for
Okay.
whatever reason you do a run without the load remover, you would just submit your RTA time as your time. It's theoretically possible to go through and remove the loads, but there's a lot of them, especially in glitched categories. So we
Yeah.
probably would
Best
not
to
want
use
to
the
do
load
that.
remover.
Yes, it's very
Yeah,
easy, and we can help you set it up if you want to run KOTOR.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the community has a lot of very friendly, helpful people. We literally like to jump up and help fellow new people out.
That's good
Especially if you're
to
interested
know.
in categories. There's a little bit for everyone.
We also have pretty good documentation as far as route guides and glitch guides and things like that. So I think it's a very friendly community and speedrun to get into. So if you're interested, drop by the Discord and we'll be happy to help you out.
That's
Yeah,
really
there's
good to
a
know
little something
because
for everyone, and of course there's also unexplored territory.
always. But I know sometimes it's a little intimidating getting into a run, so good to know that the community is friendly. So thank you.
Yeah, I could say as a new runner, I personally learned any percent unrestricted as my first category ever, and I picked it for the 12-hour challenge, which I may or may not have regretted.
Oh, that's fun.
That
Also,
yeah.
hello, Bandon. Hi, bye, Bandon. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, Bandon has a chance to force choke you as well, and to slow you. Thankfully, he did neither.
Yeah, since we don't, yeah, if you get slowed, the slow lasts for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because we used to have an item to kind of make us immune to poison, but we don't have it anymore. So
We lost
yeah, you'll
that.
notice I put an alacrity on Candaris. He's gonna have his moment to shine later. Because next coming up, something big is gonna happen.
Sanjan, you forgot the violet crystal.
Oh, you're right. I was gonna do it. I can't believe I looted and I forgot it. I know, I'm so sorry. There you go. Everyone gets to see this very nice looking crystal now. And so now we're off to Keshik, but oh no.
It's my old mentor.
What happened? What's going on?
Sith interdictor ship. They must have been waiting for us in the hyperspace room. We're
Yeah, it
caught
turns
in a
out
trap.
they've got some really fancy plans up their sleeves, and yeah, unfortunately this time, unlike with Kalo and Bannon, we can't escape. And this is also coincidentally the worst segment in the game. It's a big run killer.
It's awful. Mainly because Karth and Bastila are forced to be in your party. And they have to follow you through this Sith-infested hallways, and it's just bad news.
Karth, it has been far too long since we last
Yeah.
saw you.
So now we're captured in this place, and you know, Saul kind of interrogates us.
Yes, the
Just
violet,
laugh in our faces.
the violet crystal wastes about 2 seconds, but it's very important because fashion.
Yeah, fashion is important. You can be very fashionable in the speed run. Also, well, we actually used to pick Juhani because she had a force jump, but it turns out a runner named Will.I.Am by accident picked Candaris. And it turns out Candaris is faster because, for a couple of reasons, he doesn't get a cutscene, unlike Juhani, who gets like a very fancy entry cutscene. And there's also an extra cutscene where Juhani can face up against someone who could stun her, which can be really bad.
Yeah.
But with Canderous, we don't get any cutscenes or anything fancy like that. We can just run naked through this place. And he also heals up quite a bit, so he can't really get hit very much by the Senku. For whatever reason, they don't have guns. They just want to punch him.
Yeah, this is why we have to equip a stim to Canderous before leaving Tatooine, because he doesn't have access to them here in the prison bay.
So we're gonna go get our gear back and also get this backup money. And then we're gonna re-equip all of our gear here. Please, game. You. I'm gonna give Karth this nerve amplifier belt because we looted it from Tatooine, but it's gonna help him not to get stunned by everything that looks at him.
What?
Yes?
Yeah, there's some Sith soldiers later on which have a decent chance to stun Karth, and the worst part about that is not necessarily that he's stunned, but if you go through a loading zone without realizing he was stunned, it will duration glitch the stun for multiple minutes.
Yeah,
And
so it can work not in your favor, pretty
Yeah.
much, so
And
you don't want that.
You have to have Karth with you in order to use this elevator here. So it's really bad news if he gets duration stunned.
And so we're gonna do a quick manual save and manual load here to make sure that these two folks follow us. And hopefully the Sith guard won't shoot us.
Most of
Okay,
the
so
time,
that's a good start.
yeah, most of the time the guards will activate their shield on the first combat round and throw a grenade on the second one. So if they do that, you can just run past them. Sometimes though, they'll shoot at Karth or Bastila. That's sad.
Yeah, it's not a big deal because you usually have to kill them, but it can be quite annoying. And I'm also going to do another manual save here because there's these Jedi Masters here. They can cause very bad things. And that was pretty quick.
Yep.
And then we get to the most infamous section here. So, elevator music. Except we're in space. You don't get force speed here, so we just have to suffer.
Yep. So I'd like to take this time to tell you about Pazak. Pazak is a great card game that exists within KOTOR, which is similar to Blackjack and yet somehow much more exciting. I say this for two reasons. One, there is a Pazak 100% category in this game where you play 68 games of Pazak and do it as fast as you can. So if Pazak's your thing, check out that speedrun. Second, we have in our Discord a Pazak bot, which will allow you to play Pazak with other people in the Discord. So you can check that out as well if Pazak is your jam. This has been your Pazak PSA.
You also need to do
Thank you.
Pazak to get a run started, usually, of All Quest.
Yes, Pazak is a quest.
That's super cool. I
And
really
for,
liked Pazak in this game.
And for some unfortunate souls, they have been stuck playing Pazak for quite a bit, because, you know, Pazak, sometimes Pazak is just bad RNG.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pazak is one of the worst parts of the All Quest runs because it's random, and we don't like random.
There's plenty of random and speedruns, but we generally, like, for the most part, try to mitigate it, but unfortunately, since Pazak is a quest, and we don't have a good skipper yet, we can't mitigate it. Also say hello to Saul.
Hi.
We're gonna have a big fight against him. I had to watch my HP here, because, oh my goodness, no.
Karth and Bastila got wrecked.
Yeah.
We usually want them to stay alive a little longer so they can do a little damage and just distract the other people, but they went down real fast.
Yeah. I think they got a whole bunch of grenades thrown at them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, usually, like, if they survive long enough, you can save, like, a combat round, because they have most of the Sith here get chunked pretty good, but unfortunately, that was not the case. But at least this fight was actually quite good.
Yeah, not bad. This is one of the fights where you sort of miss the CNS belt the most, I think. But that was pretty good.
Yeah, this fight can also troll you a little bit. Just, If you don't get good luck, then your stims can run out, and not a very fun sight. Actually, I'm gonna skip giving Clark the alacrity here because I don't really want to give him alacrities.
Yeah, so rather than try and kill these 5 Sith, we're gonna just try and get everyone close enough to the loading zone that you can leave.
Oh, they're conveniently close. Thank you.
That was nice.
Yeah, a lot of times also they'll be like way in the back, and then I complain because they're way far in the back. Now this is another really scary part because there's a lot of Sith kind of roaming around, and Carp and Bastila like to get distracted by enemy. We gotta take him down.
Yeah.
Hopefully that won't happen too much.
We also don't have a ton of force points at this point, so if we ever have to recast speed, that can be problematic.
Yeah, also even like using an extra set of stims, but it looks like Carp and Bastila are behaving pretty well. I'm gonna take this time to park Carp and Carp over here. And that was actually a really smooth section. Wow.
Yeah, this is a really nice Leviathan.
I'm here.
Yes?
And so now the hardest part is pretty much over. And now we're just gonna take the time to level up our main character, Trash Jr. here. I'm gonna go grab Night Valor for more damage whenever we use it. And then we're just gonna thankfully run through here because this is the last area. There's not an area where we need to keep Carp and Bastila together.
We also have major spoilers coming up, so if you don't want to be spoiled by this 18-year-old game, I recommend you look away for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, y'all can watch some your favorite cat videos or your pet if you have one. It's gonna be about a minute. But I will let the cutscene speak for itself because this is a really cool cutscene.
Also, we can't skip it, so we kind of have to.
Trask.
No.
Trask Jr. No.
Wait, is it Trask or Trask Jr.?
Trask Jr.
But maybe Trask was Revan all along.
Hmm. You know, there's something sinister here. Insert all the plot theories with Trask. Also, that was a good fight. Yeah, so we kind of have this kind of like basic fight with Malik here, because we're not very happy. Quote that we got found out that we used to be a dark evil TM Lord of the Sith.
Yep.
Cast this stim here.
As long as you're stemmed up, these fights aren't too bad.
Yeah, I generally personally go overboard on the string of stims, but that's a little unlucky, but not bad.
It's possible to one-round both of his little phases here, but you have to get pretty good rolls.
I'll hold Malik off. You two get out of here. Find the star.
And so Bastila is gonna take one for the team here and sacrifice herself so that we can get away.
Thanks, Bastila.
So you might be seeing the results of that. And then, yeah, that was a good Leviathan. Wow. Usually,
really nice.
I've lost like 6 runs in a row on Leviathan just because Carp and Bastila didn't do their jobs.
That was so nice. I'm actually a little mad about it.
Me too. Actually, this run has been mostly pretty smooth so far. Like smooth sailing.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen any like real troll stuff.
I mean, the assault droid on Terrace was slightly slow, but
Yeah.
Juhani.
I can't expect much from it though.
Yeah.
As a soul droid can't really kill you, you can just sit there and waste your time. And a Juhani, same thing though. I've been close to dying on Juhani once or twice. And that was before the route changes too, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Say hello to the Giska. They'll be in our ship forever. So we get our fun little pets.
Yeah. And if you remember, we flew to Kashyyyk before we got captured, so here we are.
Yep, so I'm gonna take a little minor detour here for safety, and I'm gonna go buy a extra stim. I'm Trask Jr. Let me see what you carry. Buy a couple extra med packs. Alright, leave me alone. Trask has Trask things to do. I'm gonna get this cutscene here. I think it tells us about some nice deals.
Yeah, that's Ziagrom who tells you about Mika's shop on Korriban, which has a lot of really good and really expensive stuff. So, I mean, we're not going back there. But...
Now, we don't really need it anyways. We're Trask Jr. We're too good for that.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to stim up here. I'll try my best to evade that birdie. It's not an RPG direct bird, but it's nice to leave alive whenever we get back. But unfortunately, the Michael spotted us, so I'll just kill it. Not a big deal. So this is a planet where you can tell apart like someone who's very good at force speed jumping, because as you see here, when I kill if I get a one hit, I can basically chain force jumps.
Yeah, chaining force jumps is an important skill both here and for a little bit on Lahan. And just sort of in general, this planet is one of the more technical ones when it comes to the force jumps, both here and in the Shadowlands, and just sort of managing your force points so that you're never short on force speed.
Yeah, so here we have to go this way because the Wookiees are blocking the way, and we gotta pay a visit to these people. And they got some trouble, but I mean, we're trying to find a star map. We don't care.
Yeah, they take Zalbar away, and so everyone waved to Zalbar. We're not going to see him again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zalbar fans, but
Bye,
we have to leave him there.
At least he was there for a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
unlike certain droids we may not mention.
Yeah. Then we are off. So now the Wookiees will let us through here. And we're just gonna basically force jump our way out of here. And these Dark Jedi can also troll you by force choking you, but thankfully they didn't do that. Oh, I didn't kill it. That would have been nice though. I didn't kill that one either. Gosh. Come on, buddy.
I've noticed without the CNS belt, it's a little harder to one-shot these.
Yeah. Like, even like 2 plus 2 strength might not sound like a lot, but it makes a pretty noticeable difference throughout the game. Just because of the nature of the D&D system.
It's that 10% less chance to hit everything, and a little less damage when we do hit as well.
So now we are off to the races, so... Alright, dang it, I did not mean to do that, whatever. It's a little annoying. Also, we're gonna meet a lot of people's also favorite characters. Jolie. So we're gonna help out Jolie because he knows how to get to, he knows his way around the area. And he asked us to do a favor in return, which is to boot out all the Zerka people that are kind of, I believe, trying to harm the wildlife.
I mean, he would ask us to do that, but we're just going to go there and do it before he actually asks us.
Yeah. We can read his mind, basically. And we've got our nice Jedi mind tricks.
Very smart.
Who are you?
Now we're gonna take a little quest here to kill a talk, but not for the reasons that you might think of. I did not mean to do that. Let's see. Okay. I almost did a very bad thing.
Yeah, so we're trying to convince these guards to tell us how to turn off the sonic emitters that are keeping them safe. if you mess up the conversation, you can actually force persuade them to run away, which gives you dark side points and will cause your lightsaber to unequip, because we are right on the boundary where we can have the Solari crystal equipped. And so that's a very dangerous conversation to mess up.
I did not mean to kill those talk. You want to leave them alive for your way back, because you'll be running through the same area again. But that's okay. Good force jump.
We agreed to poach the tox so that we can force jump to them. And it's just extra movement tech.
Yes?
We're forced to take Jolie with us, but we don't really... Oh, I forgot to do this. Now, that's what I use Alacrity for here, so that I don't have to recast force feed. You don't have to do this, but that's just my own little personal thing. The nice thing about this category is that you can, for example, be a little flexible with your starting choices. Like some people, like I said, some people opt for less constitution, for more wisdom.
Yeah,
So that they can use more force powers.
Personally, I do 10 wisdom and 12 dexterity, and that gives me slightly more force points for casting force speed, both on Leviathan and here. But it's, I mean, you always need 18 strength, and you always need 10 intelligence. The rest is a little bit flexible.
Yeah, this planet, as you notice, is quite a bit of running around. There's also this cool fight here, but we don't really care about it.
Yeah. The worst part about this planet is there's very few places where you can return to the Ebon Hawk. And so once we get the star map here, we have to run all the way back to the landing pad. And it's quite a long way. And we're forced to have Jolie follow us the whole way. And so we have to take out certain groups of enemies such as the Viper Kinrath, because otherwise Jolie just gets stuck there. It's a nice one shot on that Viper Kinrath.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one shot. Got poison, but I'll just heal just to make sure.
You could use the antidote kit.
You know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is why we do Kashyyyk last, because for this portion you used to have to do like a really long quiz, but we just tell them that we're the big Bath Sith Lord TM Revan, and it's just like, okay, we'll give you the star map.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
It's a fairly minor thing. It saves maybe 5 seconds, but it's useful enough.
Now we gotta
Now-
keep Jolie with us, and now we get our long, good old trek back.
The long run
Good.
back.
So, do you have any more PSAs for us?
Well, let's see, I did my Pazak one. KOTOR actually has a randomizer that shuffles the locations of modules, so you can walk out of the lower Shadowlands here and end up on the Starforge. So if randomizers are your thing, you can check out the KOTOR randomizer. There's also a bingo available for KOTOR, and so if you like bingos, you can check that out as well. We have really a little something for everybody. So. Oh, I also forgot we have some individual level runs if you like doing that kind of thing. We have ones for all of the swoop racing on Terrace and Manon and Tatooine. And we also have individual level runs for Pazak players as well.
Yeah, we got a few, we got a few swoop racers, we got a few Zok players, which Zok is actually like really complex when you think about it, because I've seen like some of the stuff that one of our really good runners employs, and it's just like my mind's blowing.
Yeah. Soberlight is the resident Pazak champion as far as speedrunning goes, so he does quite a good job with it.
I'm sorry to all tack lovers, but you know, I had to do it. I'm so sorry. They're just very easy to kill, so it's very easy to force chain them.
Yep. We had to take kind of a circuitous path to the Wookiee at the end because you can't talk to an NPC if you're in combat. and we don't want to have to kill everything to get out of combat. So we just sort of run around out of combat until our lightsaber goes away, and then we can talk.
Oh, come on, that's rude. You also see, like, whenever I try to force jump to one, the game will randomly target another one. That's another product of kind of like, I believe, wired targeting.
Yeah. It's basically your force jump takes place before it updates your target. So whatever the game thought you were targeting last, it will force jump to that if it's within line of sight. So a lot of times you can end up force jumping backwards. So
Jolie, thank you.
that conversation is actually kind of neat because it warps Jolie to you. So we don't have to worry about Jolie following us through sort of that whole first part of the Great Walkway. We just have to make sure he follows for this last part. Which
Where did Jolie go? My goodness.
He's not doing it.
I guess he got distracted by mines. I don't blame him. Yeah, so this is why we transited back there on the Wookiee side, because it lets us easily transition back, because if you go through here like normally, you'd also get some cutscenes, and it's also slower.
It's a nice little way to warp from the entrance of the landing pad to your ship.
And this is, we've got all 4 star maps in about an hour and 35 minutes. Pretty quick.
Yeah, that
good.
is quick. Nicely done.
Strong child,
We're in the end game now.
but I will break
Yep,
you.
as
I'll never fall to the dark
one of our fellow runners, Chaos Tripter says, shout out to him. Really good any percent unrestricted runner. We're in the end game now, folks.
You're a fool.
Torture. No, dear Bastion.
Also, Malik
You misunderstand.
convinces Bastila to join the dark side with the use of dark side cookies.
Whet your appetite.
Cookies are good though.
The dark side cookies are a lie, though.
It will be willingly.
Never.
It's okay. I will gladly fall for any traps if I can get to eat the really tasty cookies.
See the truth in your heart.
Oh no.
The dark side calls to you, Bastila. You hunger to taste it.
So Glitchless has been a little more popular in our community lately because we're actually running a Glitchless tournament at the moment. We had 8 people sign up for the tournament, and we're just doing double elimination. And so if you are enjoying this speedrun, you could check out some of the Glitchless races that are remaining in the tournament as well.
Our last race, which actually was between me and Indy, was very close, like 9 seconds with each other.
Very
wow.
close.
Should be safe here. We're
9
outside
seconds
the
in a
center.
2-hour run.
Small vanguard of Sith fighters coming in hard. Someone needs to get on those gun turrets.
And we get our last little turret mini game here. It's still pretty straightforward, but it's a subtle thing that it's a little subtle like time save, because if you get fast fighter segments, like it's really fast, and you actually can save like a decent amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. There are 3 fighter encounters that are forced in Glitchless. In other categories, you can skip all of them.
I'm picking up a single planet in the system.
Yeah, so I believe chat's also asking about like the force blur. It's a second to turn that off,
Maybe a rough landing.
because it's, if I had that turned on, my eyes would hurt.
That would be headache-inducing, yeah.
Yeah, and so I like to save my eyes and all of chat's eyes
Yeah.
for everyone's sake, since we do cast force speed a lot, pretty much all the time. So
Everything from Dantooine onward would be literally a blur. Which you'd think would be good in a speedrun, but no.
So we're going to skillfully dodge these ricotta here that build up to try and crash the party. And then I'm gonna do an actually pretty specific set of things here. So these stems are actually important here to use in this very specific spot, because for whatever reason, there's that first group can actually cause you to soft lock at the end if you're unlucky. And so for
Yeah.
whatever reason, when I use those stems there, I think it's consistent for me. I don't know about everyone else, but
It's
whenever I do it, I guess, then they despawn like once you get there, and you're basically a happy camper.
Yeah, it's been consistent for me too. They actually caused a lot of problems, those Ricotta, because if they're still there when you're leaving the planet, they will get into a fight with your party who has come out of the Ebon Hawk for a cutscene. And if your party is, specifically Karth, is in combat, that cutscene breaks and you lose a lot of time. So having a consistent way for those Ricotta to despawn is actually really important.
So we're gonna say no to helping out the one. We're also gonna help out this Elder Ricotta so that we can get some help from them. Because who also has plot armor, so I don't know why they didn't just like run away. As they just ran out in like danger, like nothing happened. So you know, props to them.
Yeah. You're supposed to have to kill all those Ricotta and Rancors and such, but as long as you don't get into combat before talking to that Ricotta warrior, you can just chat with him and ignore everyone else.
Yeah, if you do get into combat, then you can just run around like you do in Kashyyyk with the Wookiee you talk to at the end.
It can be a little tricky depending on whether the Rancor who's in that pen runs out towards you or not. You want him to run out because then you can get around him. If he's just camping out in the doorway, then it's actually kind of hard to get around him.
Oh, I forgot to force speed here. That's fine.
Well, you don't want to force speed right away because that would skip a cutscene.
Yeah. And that is a path to the dark side that we don't want to take.
Yeah.
As you see here, these Ricotta group here are gonna despawn. Very nice.
Which means we're all set for leaving. That's not a glitch, by the way. That's completely intended behavior. Having Ricotta just disappear into thin air.
Oh no, okay. That's a-okay. Yeah, these... Yeah, I think I'm gonna pay for getting to force speed right before leaving the base, but that's okay. Also, Gizka lovers, please avert your eyes.
We salute you, Gizka, for warning us about the trap.
You know, in other categories you can save that Gizka, but
Yeah.
you can't do that in glitchless.
In every other rule set, we save him, but not in this.
Oh, we're gonna get through the scenic walk here. Yeah, we try to get help from the Elder Ricotta rather than the Warrior Ricotta, because I think it's been a while since I've done this casually, but I think you have to do a lot more for the Warrior Ricotta, and then the Elder Ricotta, you just have to talk to them, and then they'll like, yeah, we'll help you out.
Yeah, so for the Warrior Ricotta, you actually have to come to this compound anyway and kill someone at the back for a book that they're holding and bring that back to the one. So you have to go to the one first, all the way to this compound, and then all the way back. If you side with the elders, you just have to rescue that elder warrior from the one's compound first, and then when you get here, they're like, oh, I guess you're a good person, we'll help you. So less running this way.
Everyone's making me hungry, oh my goodness.
I know. So what's your go-to cookie type?
Chocolate chip or double chocolate chip. I'm basically a chocolate 2-trick.
It's like a chocolate world for me and Sanjan.
I'm actually an oatmeal raisin person myself. But my wife makes really good oatmeal raisin cookies, so that's probably part of it.
That's healthy though.
I can at least pretend it's healthy.
That is true. I think it's a healthier, definitely healthier than chocolate chip cookies.
I want to give a brief shout out to Glasnock, who was running this game when I started. He knows this chanting cutscene by heart. It's very impressive.
It sounds French to me. I feel like when you play this game enough, you memorize everything, but I guess for me, it's just not there yet.
It's not there for me either. I can do like the first like 5 seconds of it, and that's it.
The only thing I very much remember so much is the Hendar cutscene, just because there's something about that voice acting that I love.
Run, Hendar, run. This is a very jaw-dropping cutscene.
Yeah. Also, we have a set of very nice emotes.
Yes, actually. There are many KOTOR emotes, both in the Discord and in various runners' streams.
To our enormous fleet. We shall be
This is very jaw-dropping indeed. That poor Sith Corporal looks really stunned.
And the Republic will be crushed forever.
As you wish, Lord Malik.
Yeah, I would be too. I just like saw that square out of nowhere. So thankfully, we still have to go through this dungeon here, but thankfully we can kind of leave. We can leave Johnny and Julie at the beginning, since the loading zones, at least for the point where your party members can't work with you, is actually pretty lax in this area.
So there's a basement and a summit that we have to go to, and those loading zones are actually like right next to each other, just vertically. They're like on top of each other, and so we can leave our party members at one load zone and enter the other, because the game, I think, only checks for horizontal distance rather than vertical distance.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Malik can't enjoy cookies
Oh man.
without like unnatural ways. Man, Malik's missing out.
No wonder he's evil.
Also H.
Yeah, that floor tile puzzle is solved with an H most easily.
I forgot like the last part of that dialogue for a second. I was just sitting there like, just those times.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
that's an
I mean,
important one too, because if you don't do that one right, you'll get to the summit and not be able to enter.
Yes?
Thankfully, that hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah, that one's not too hard.
Yeah. But I've had a lot of like really weird things happen to me. Like, when you think you've seen everything in this run, after doing like quite a few runs, sometimes there's just things where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
The game finds many ways to surprise you.
So we got a fight coming up here with Bastila. She can do a lot of bad things, force power related, so we kind of have to cross our fingers and hope she doesn't do anything too bad. We'll see.
And she has a pretty good chance of doing like really bad statuses to us just because like she's way higher level than us.
Yeah, she's level 8.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
Yeah, the lightning is one of the least bad things she can do, because we don't mind the damage, we just don't want to get stunned.
So this is the very last cutscene before you're eternally tied to the light side or dark side, but we choose the light side here for a lot of reasons. Because it is much faster than the dark side ending, like miles faster.
It is. For a long time, every KOTOR speedrun did the light side ending, mainly because that doesn't force you to bring a party member on the Starforge, which lets you run past all the enemies. If you go dark side, you are forced to bring Bastila with you, and you would have to fight all the enemies. So that's part of it.
And those enemies are pretty much like near infinite, I believe. Like they'll infinitely spawn
they keep spawning, yeah.
Hello.
Also, going light side here allows us to keep our Solari crystal equipped, which is nice. The any percent unrestricted route actually does go dark side, because there are lots of exciting glitches they can use to get through the Starforge without fighting anything. So it doesn't really matter so much having a party member there. Also, dark side Bastila comes with a lot of good gear, like thermal detonators and stims and all sorts of great stuff. So the unrestricted route takes advantage of that.
Do She has a lot of good gear, but for whatever reason, she does not have force speed.
It's so weird. She has like everything else except force speed.
Oh yeah, and now we have fast text because we're pretty far in and we haven't reset yet. But for safety, I will actually reset my game. I'm still on okay pace to not have to reset, but better safe than sorry. But we still have to go through this very long cutscene first.
The general rule of thumb, if you can get times that are under 2 hours, you probably don't have to reset your game in the middle. Unfortunately, you won't really know if it worked or not until you get to the Bastila fight on the Starforge. And if it starts unloading textures, then you're basically done, because your game just crashes when the Bastila fight finishes. And that's very disheartening.
The Starforge wasn't constructed.
It looks pretty hilarious, though.
We don't have time for me to fully
Yeah.
Is that like it's disqualified run at that point, or it could still count?
It's not disqualified. The problem is you would have to reload your last save, which is when you enter the Starforge, unless you make a safety save.
So it's pretty inconvenient anyway.
It loses something like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I had a race where I had to do the Starforge again because I crashed. So usually, yeah, around the 2 hour in game time mark, you would crash, but my computer, I guess, like, hated KOTOR because it was installed for a while and it started crashing like 5 minutes early. I've lost a lot very good pace runs to that.
Aw,
Heartbreaking, but you know, that's just the game.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's a 2003 factor.
Yeah, there is significant hardware dependencies in the run. Not as much in glitchless, because a lot of the dependency comes in with quick saving. But in one movement technique in other categories is save teleporting, where you quick save while moving forward and you actually teleport forward a little bit. And the longer your save takes to do, the further you teleport. And so there's a little bit of hardware dependency in there. We try to weed as much of it out as we can, but there's some which is just unavoidable.
Yeah, as you notice, this is about 2-minute cutscene, so this is like a nice cutscene for bathroom breaks.
Yes.
Also resting your hands. This category is actually pretty casual friendly. Even though going fast is a nice advantage, but you have plenty of time to rest your hands.
This cutscene.
Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
Sorry, this cutscene used to be called the unskippable cutscene, and then we found a way to skip it. But the name kind of stuck, so it's still the unskippable cutscene.
Well, I'm actually gonna reset my game here for safety. I think I'm fine without it, but I've had bad things happen. And
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Oh yeah, we are on the last planet. Sorry, Zalbar.
It's still gone.
Yeah, so this is why we choose Darkside, because we can go alone, and we don't have to deal with party members, aka Bastila, cough cough.
Before they...
Yeah.
The reason why any percent unrestricted can take Bastila is because they pretty much can skip like this entire section.
We'll deal with these.
Yeah, they just
You get into the...
basically warp places to skip all the fights, except the last one.
Yeah, there will see plenty of fun battles. Also say hello to Mullet Man. The other very noticeable male character face.
Yeah, the Starforge is reasonably straightforward since we just try to run past all the enemies to hit the different cutscenes and progress. But in the next area, there is a part where we have to reach a console and then double back. So that console is where we need enough computer spikes. So that's the first thing that can go wrong. But there's a lot of Dark Jedi in that hallway that can do bad things. They can stun you, they can plague you, they can do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, the place is, especially since we don't have poison damage mitigation. It's just basically a really epic troll moment. Oh, right. I tried to do the quick menu for that, but I forgot I reset. Because resetting resets that inventory pointer.
Yep.
I'm gonna do some fancy fortune. So I put the alacrity there because, yeah, this is a very long area. My force speed will run out after this cutscene that's coming up. The very epic fight between the Mullet Men army. Yes, it is.
Yes, the Jedi triplets. Unfortunately, this fight will not go well for them.
Yeah. Can't say they didn't try at least. Is this cutscene like randomized too, or is it like set?
It's set, I think.
More victims for us to slaughter.
Yeah, so they're gonna try to go for us, but hey, we're quick, so gonna use these people as a taxi. We cast force speed here because it ran out. Get more kind of fun cutscenes here, and then we get to go through a very scary part. I'm going to cast Night Valor here.
In addition to increasing your stats, Night Valor gives you immunity from poison. And poison effects include both Affliction and Plague, which are powers that you want to avoid here.
Yeah, so they actually hit the poison, but since we had a Night Valor, it didn't hit, or we didn't get poison, so
Yeah, that green,
shoutouts to Night Valor.
that green flash was Night Valor doing its job.
Alright, so we're gonna put this door here. Hopefully they don't do the same thing to me. Alright, I have enough spikes, I can count.
Huzzah.
And they're also hurting me. Don't do this aboard Trask. Trask Jr.
Maybe
I just say
Trask-
Trask for short.
Maybe Trask is like an inherited title. And so now that the prior Trask is gone, this is the true Trask.
Maybe.
Oh, that's good.
Always two there are.
Yes. Maybe this was our fellow neighbor, or Trask Jr.'s plan to get rid of Trask Sr. so he could ascend.
It all makes sense now. That's
All
what
makes
this game
sense.
is truly about.
And then we shall see if Revan can stand against the full fury of the
The
Star
speedrun was
Forge.
actually, even though we went to the dark side, maybe Trask will do something that will be beyond our capabilities. Oh, I almost killed him. That's okay though. So this is the other scary fight coming up here. I'm going to cast all of my force powers here, all of them that I can get.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to stem up because hopefully this should be the last usage of stems, even though I have backups, but
So
hopefully.
you have to kill these three Sith to open the door. One of them really likes to use Force Push. A lot.
I actually personally, ideally you want to try to, hello? Thank you. Oh, okay, so they decided not to not force push. Well, I'm jealous.
That's very friendly.
Thank you.
All right. That was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty smooth fight. I believe that was 7 rounds, which is still pretty good, especially considering I did not get pushed around. Also, say hello to Darth Waifu again.
Hello. This
We're
fight
gonna have this.
goes faster.
Yeah, this. She doesn't really do the troll stuff that she does on Lahan.
It helps that she starts by casting Force Immunity, and we just hit her over the head with a lightsaber.
Cannot win.
Yeah, we just lightsaber her. 2. And then we're gonna save Darth Waifu here if I can get this dialogue right. Oh yeah, Bastila loves me.
Huzzah. Yeah, so
Just right there.
the conversations with Bastila there actually have a point system behind them, and if you earn enough points, you can spare her. If you don't earn enough points, you're forced to kill her. So by doing a specific conversation for all of those, you can earn enough points no matter what your persuade is. If you have, I think, at least 13 net persuade at this point, you can actually just mash through the conversations and it'll work.
I personally don't mash through it out of just like general habit, even though I think I was at 11 persuade. I can't remember. I usually get 11.
Even if you have less, it's like there's like two 50-50.
Yeah, if you had to kill her, it's not a big deal. But it's slightly slower than just sparing her.
You know, I think Malik might be evil. He just murdered those 2 Jedi.
He just wanted to show off. I mean, what a show off. I'm gonna teach him a lesson about who the real gamer is.
This is one of my favorite parts. There's that whole section where you're supposed to kill enough droids to get enough spikes to go through the door, or you could break it down with a lightsaber.
Actually, I never remember that part. It's been a good while, but yeah, breaking down a door is really convenient. So this is the epic showdown here. He just likes to spam force lightning at us. Thanks to her stems, it's not too bad.
Darth 4D20.
That was a pretty good first round.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So this is his armory of dead mullet men. We call them Jedi popsicles.
Yes.
That's really good.
And they're all the same. So these are the Jedi octuplets, which coincidentally are the same as the Jedi triplets before. So really, there's 11 of them.
So there's a specific reason why we learned Drain Life. It's literally only for this part. Because if you do not drain from these, and you try to beat up Malik to no HP, he's just gonna run over and grab or drain life from the Popsicle Jedi, and he basically gets restored full HP. So we just run around here and give these Popsicle Jedi a rest in peace, and then now we're up to the epic final part of the battle.
Yeah. Without drain life, you have to basically kill him 7 times.
Yeah. Or destroy droid.
Yeah.
But that requires 2 skills to learn. So it's just more convenient to learn drain life.
You actually do destroy droid in other categories, but drain life is very easy here. And preferred.
My goodness. So time's coming up actually really soon here. So when the black screen comes up, time.
Congrats.
Nicely done.
That's a pretty good time. That's not a bad time. On my IGT, it was 1:59:16.
That's not bad at all. Sub 2.
Yeah, that's awesome. Way underestimate as well, and that's always a good thing. Thank you so much, Sanjan. That was really, really fun.
Yep, no problem. I hope everyone enjoyed the run.
Yeah, do you or Indy have any like final shout outs or thoughts that you'd want to give our viewers before we move to the next run?
I'd like to give a shout out to the entire coder community. Very awesome people. A shout out to the council, Indy,
The council,
Last Knock, Lane, Chaos Drifter, and our newly appointed council member, Range, for being awesome mods and awesome people, as well as other runners like 30, Bluefix, very good at Glitch Hunter, along with Hotshot Wire, Build, OIM. I'm forgetting a couple more names. Joel, C-Dubs,
Seraphim, Falicon. They were both in the Glitchless tourney. It's a really good community, so I'll just second Sanjin's shout out. If you're at all interested in KOTOR speedrunning, please stop by. We're happy to have new people and always happy to help.
And I
Also,
assume we can... Sorry, Sandra, go ahead.
I was gonna say big shout outs to Trask Jr. for being the true epic gamer.
Yes.
Who cares about Mullet Man? Trask Jr. is the real deal.
Carried us through that run. Very nice. I was going to say, if people do want to join the community, the best way would be to go to speedrun.com KOTOR page.
Yes, we have
And
a
they can find the
Discord button
information.
on the sidebar. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, so on the sidebar, everyone, in the speedrun.com KOTOR page if you're interested. And also, please, if you enjoyed this speedrun, make sure you follow our runner, that is Sanjan with an underscore here on Twitch, as well as commentary for tonight. That was by Indy Kenobi. For the month of July, I want to let y'all know that GDQ will be donating its portion of Twitch subscriber and bit revenue minus taxes to Doctors Without Borders. This includes gift subs, Prime Gaming subs, regular channel subs, and any bits cheered on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel. So we ended SGDQ at $2.9 million raised. So let's see if we can get it to $3 million by the end of July. And also, if you missed any of the SGDQ VODs, you can head over to youtube.com/gamesdonequick to check out the full runs from this past week's event, along with all of our other hotfix shows. Stick around, we'll be right back with SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Alright everybody, welcome back to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel. You've been asking about it, and now it is finally time for SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Shift is back again to explain all the tricks and tech with commentary this time. Welcome.
Hello everybody. Is it cool? We're good?
Yeah, we're all good.
Awesome.
Yeah, you take it away.
All right, guys. We're back here for another run. This time we got a different route going, so you'll maybe see some new stuff you haven't seen before. And with me tonight, I have an old friend of mine, Ringo Tongo, here. We also got Orion, who's a newer runner, but very much involved in the community. Really great guy as well. Happy to have both of them here tonight to help me explain this game, because there's a lot to explain, and I'm going to need some help. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Ringo, and I'm just happy to be here, commentate this run for my bud. And yeah, I mean, the route's changed a lot since I was very active, so there's a lot that Orion's going to be more familiar with than I am, but yeah.
Hello, I am Orion YTP. I've been speedrunning this game for about a year, and even in that short amount of time, the run has still quite changed a lot. So even from when I started running, so it's gonna be you are all in for a treat.
Yeah, we all keep wondering when it's gonna stop. When's the last thing gonna get found? But it's never gonna happen. All right, we're good to go to start the run.
Yeah, give us the countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so for those of you who don't know much about this game, we're in the time capsule, so you might have inferred this was from 2003, during the golden era of 3D platformers, in my opinion, back in the day when jumping around and turning the camera was a marvel. But nowadays, games have gotten a lot more complex, but there's still a place for these games, these original 3D platformers in the realm of speedrunning, and that's where these games truly shine. And Battle for Bikini Bottom is no exception. With all these physics-based and collision exploits, you know, pretty much that kind of a game. You're using platforming, you're using glitches, you know, that's pretty much what we're looking at here. And the objective here is to collect 75 golden spatulas to enter Plankton's lab and foil his plans. And we're already going up to this first major glitch in this run, the hand disable. This is arguably the most important glitch in the entire run. It was also the first glitch ever found in this game, to our knowledge, back in 2011. This glitch allows us to go out of bounds by disabling the hand, which is the game's out of bounds detection, pretty much. Instead of just putting invisible walls everywhere, the game devs decided to design this game with a neat little reference to the show that pulls you back in if you walk too far out. But because we've done this, we can collect the spatula in this ditch and skip the first half of this level by pausing and warping to the destination where we originally collect the challenge for collecting that spatula. So you'll see that a lot where you get a spatula early, and then you can warp to it, just exploiting the game's pause menu, which is a very, very nice feature, especially for a game of its time. Very far ahead of its time with that. So you might have noticed as well, for a licensed game, pretty high quality animations, pretty high quality color palette, great frame rate, and so forth.
Does not look
this
as
kind
old
of a game,
as it might feel. Also, this guy's smurfing. Just gets the hammer skip. Doesn't even mention it. What you just
we
saw
haven't even been
there
able to
was
talk about it yet. I just wanted to throw out there that the devs of this game were very passionate about this game when they were making it. You know, 60+ hour work weeks for multiple of them. They've reached out to us over the years. They've told us they love what we're doing with it. They love the people who are still playing the game. So a lot of good vibes between the speedrunning community and the devs who originally made it 18 years ago now, almost 18, coming up on it. But yeah, Ringo, you were talking about the hammer skip. You want to explain like what happened there?
So basically, a large sequence of the level was just skipped there by lining up that hammer enemy in such a way where he could jump off of its head, and then he damage boosted off of the water. Basically, whenever you jump in the water in this game, it sends you back to the location you were standing on last. So he was standing on that hammer, which was super high up, and he actually then used that momentum in addition to a frame-perfect jump to skip that entire ledge and just bypass like a large chunk of that loading zone.
Yeah, I mean that's a good portion of this game too. We mentioned the frame rate earlier. Nice and smooth, 60 FPS, but the only downside is the high frame rate means the frame perfect tricks are harder. So each time you see one of those jumps in midair, as if you're on the ground but just floating, and you can just get an extra jump, that is actually a 1 frame input where you only have 1/60th of a second to jump, otherwise it doesn't work. And you'll see later there are much riskier jumps like that for gaps that are much larger.
Much more
and
treacherous.
The stakes are way higher too because they're deeper into the run. You know, if we were doing reset attempts to try and get a PB, you know, there are some tricks later that are just pretty mind-blowing that they could ever be attempted in a run like this. It's come a long way. Back in the day, we used to get scared about such insignificant tricks that still, like, they were hard for the time, but, you know, 5 years later, for me at least, because I've been playing for 5 years, and it's...
Okay, so one thing I want to... that just almost got glossed over was this spatula is notorious for being one of the most RNG heavy parts of the game. It's the cannons that you have to fire in order to destroy those tiki stacks can not always land in the most convenient spots. It used to be opted out for a while because it only saved very minimal, but 80% has gotten very optimized to the point where those 6 seconds may not seem like a lot, but it starts to add up.
Yeah, typically you only expect to save like maybe 2 to 4, but very rarely what you just saw there, you do get the full 6 or so. So that was pretty lucky.
Blessed. But yeah, but we were, you know, talking about how far the scale of difficulty is from trick to trick here. I mean, what he's doing right now that you're seeing, this is all new. I mean, this is not even around at all, nothing close to it when I was playing. If you want to give a quick description on what you just did there, Shift, because you know how to explain it better than I do.
Honestly, I think I got to do another one very soon, so I think Orion should take the handle on this. I will say, though, that VMS is probably the most significant major tech in the any percent run found in the past year and a half or so. It was found on New Year's Eve of 2019, so that's how long ago it's been. And it just started getting implemented into the run around the end of the summer last year. But
yeah, this is one of the major bits of tech that we do. So right now, Shift is storing the SpongeBob transformation and delaying it by doing double jumps. He lands on this tiki, and the game keeps track of where your position is stored. But as you saw, that those tikis rise up. So if you go out of the SpongeBob on the same frame you jump, you can carry that speed, and that speed is also transferable through loads. So he just used that to jump over the huge wall that's meant to keep you only in like the first area of the game, but now he's in the second part of the hub. Normally you wouldn't be able to get in here until you've collected 15 spatulas.
Awesome. Great explanation. That was good. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, just a flat-out hub world skip here. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get to hub 2, but this is, you know, a very spicy one, and it also happens to be fast. So, I mean, yeah, the fact that you don't have to have any cruise missile, you can also bypass RSS, one of my
Dude,
favorite
luck
ledge
in this
grabs in the game.
I'm getting such good RNG this run. Why can't I get this on PB runs? Like, come on.
Yeah, and RNG actually matters a lot more now than it used to back then, because normally this game's routing is very important. You can't just go like all of Jellyfish or all of Downtown all at once, because we get a glitch later after we beat the second boss that allows us to move a lot faster. So it becomes a routing balance of whether or not this spat is faster to get early on or to save it for later when we could move faster. And the reason why normally the tree dome we would save for like the middle of the run, but something that has also been glossed over is you notice that Shift has gone out of his way to get a lot of Thunder Tiki combos in order to get a bunch of shiny objects. The reason for that is there's a mechanic in the game where you can trade those shiny objects to Mr. Krabs for a golden spatula, and he needs about 3,000 in order to buy just one of them.
Yeah, this is a really cool strat coming up here. We need to have 3,000 before we leave the Krusty Krab for this to work. This was a glitch that was first, or we'll call it maybe an exploit over a glitch, but theorized many years ago, but is only being implemented as of last year. Spatula duping, which is not technically a duplication glitch, but more of buying spatulas that the game did not intend for you to be able to buy.
Yeah, actually creating new spatulas with this one technically, because it does not display that he is getting this extra spatula. If you look at the Mr. Krabs completion, like he is not. It's not like excuse me. When you hit the pause menu in this game, if the objective is complete, it will display the golden spatula, and if it's not complete, it's a blue spatula. But when you dupe an extra spatula, it doesn't turn gold. It's just like a new entity, but it counts as a value towards entering the Chum Bucket Lab. Also, what you just saw there is a little bit of a finicky hitbox moment. Just got some flashbacks from 2016 where if you land on these spikes a bit, incorrectly, you actually will just get sent into a not pleasant, less than desirable angle. But if you land right on top of the spikes, then you can do what he just did and get on that little spring trap without paying the clam. So yeah.
Yeah, those spikes are very funny. It's a common inside joke in the community whenever you get like sent flying by those spikes. If you've ever seen iCarly where Gibby falls through the ceiling and just lands on the floor, so we just call that scenario getting Gibby.
Yeah, that meme's been around for longer than like 95% of the people who run this game. It started with Fuff, the former world record holder from back in the day. Fuff went on to get the world record in hat in time. He went on to get like top 5 or something and getting over it. Really good speedrunner.
He's very talented.
Also.
But yeah, I mean, Dream was one of the original. Yeah. I'm not gonna. Anyway, we got a very lit scenario here where we're gonna be doing a little boss fight. This is by far the driest part of the run, with no real way to shave down the length of it other than just good enemy manipulation, which gets very monotonous and a little slow to watch.
This is the one part of the run that, in my time playing, I've seen this evolve once, back when Fuff figured out the manipulations back in 2016. Since then, the fight has remained exactly the same. So the game surrounding the fight has gotten, over 20 minutes faster, but this has remained exactly the same. It's a tragedy.
Speaking of evolving, I kind of want to talk about how this game constantly changes, because back when Shift and Ringo were first starting to run, shiny object management was very important, because you needed to constantly keep track of hitting combos to pay off certain clams or get through certain doors, or even buying one crab spat as we normally did.
The money was really tight because it was like if you missed a stack of tikis back in the day, you would have to make up for that later on. It was like, you know, you really had to consider every little point.
Flashbacks to the Jack-a-lacka money strat where you jump over the tarp on the moat to get the shinies on top of the castle. See, I actually found that strat, but for some reason people started calling it the Jack-a-lacka money strat. But you know what? I'm for it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that whole sense of, that whole meta of constantly keeping track of your shinies got uprooted in 2018 when it was found that Skip will do pretty shortly after this boss fight, where you can generate an infinite amount of money. I say infinite, there is a max limit, but that got, when that was implemented, pretty much all the shiny object management was gone. But then when duping was found, all of a sudden it becomes full circle where what was originally fast becomes slow, becomes fast again, because now we need to actually keep track of shiny objects. And
yeah, thankfully it's only in the first 8 minutes of the run, because after that we got the big glitch.
The money.
You know, Jeff Bezos glitch.
Yeah, if you are trying to get funds to leave this Earth's atmosphere, you know, SBA will work.
Yeah, it's coming up shortly.
Yeah.
But not before we do a couple of other cool strats. You'll see those too. And we're almost done fighting our boss. You know, evil squirrel.
It's part of life. It's part of life. It's like commuting to work. You know, you kill the boss, you open the gate, you get the bowl, you move on with your day. That's about it.
You know, all normal stuff.
But yeah, I mean, here we're entering Goo Lagoon, one of the spiciest, most unique levels to this game. Just like a showcase of iconic tricks throughout the years. Between SBA, you got Sponge Glide. I mean, it really is just like loaded with unique tech. But also one of the more frustrating levels to get stuck in if you are really optimized.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest reset point in the run, for me at least.
yeah, that's no exaggeration, because not because of any of this what you're about to see here, although this trick is very tough for a lot of beginner runners, but for the big shiny object glitch for reasons unknown. So what he just did was he did a damage boost, and then he got stuck into the tower, and when you slam with a lot of speed and you get stuck, you could just carry that speed over to get to what is normally supposed to be the end of Goo Lagoon if you're doing it casually. A lot of levels in this game revolve around like getting to the end from the start and just collecting everything as fast as possible.
Yeah, there was once a time in this game's history, I'd say about 7 years ago, when they used to have to do this from the normal routing, where you would go through the caves and go through the pier. They actually had a damage boost to skip the pier back in the day that looked pretty tough for the time it was found. But then one day, Mr. Cole Udd found the Sponge Glide.
True Renaissance man. But yeah, that pier route is pretty fun, honestly. I did that for the no CBSG back in the day a little bit, so I did actually get kind of familiar with that damage boost. But I mean, it's pretty rudimentary compared to the glide. Anyway, so what he's doing now is he's grabbing this tiki to bring it over to the skee ball machine to set up the SBA trick we were talking about earlier. So he's going to be able to generate infinite currency by throwing this tiki into this hole here, and then once he gets it in the exact precise location he needs it to get in, he's going to switch to SpongeBob and use the bowling ball, and it's going to just generate money. You will see. Unfortunately, it's one of those tricks that is very easy to make mistakes on, just because of how finicky it can be to set it up. also, the thing is with this game and like the sensitivity on the camera is very high, so it's hard to line up these kinds of tricks. But yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is like actually hilarious.
Actually getting trolled. And even like getting like the correct position, sometimes you'll just have moments where depending on how the game like renders certain frames, it can actually affect the physics of the game. So even if you get the setup correctly, there are still moments where the game can just troll you and just pop it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I reset like 4 out of 5 times on this trick most days.
It is pretty rad.
It's
I
the
mean,
worst.
Yeah, but I mean, now that we have it going here, turn your volume all the way up and make sure to have your speakers for this one.
Yo, this is my jam, bump it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically what he's doing here, just climbing up this tower with a little epic platforming gameplay, skipping the clam like you do. And you know, he's just basically doing the pier level while simultaneously getting a lot of money, a lot of currency very quickly. So basically this entire concept of SBA allows you to cut out multiple spatulas that were otherwise in the route, just because now you can spend all of your money on the crab spatulas, which was before. I think it took how much time did it take to grind on the bridge shifts? Like freaking 7 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
And then before that,
it was like 12, 11 and a half, something like that.
It was just it was pain.
We were never doing that 90% though. 100%. Yeah, it saved a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, any percent. At first, people were very opposed to this trick because they thought it would remove 7, fun spatulas and replace it with, this. But this back in the day was way, way different, where it would take way longer to set up. It was very slow, so you'd kind of be sitting around doing nothing for over a minute, waiting for it to grind up to the number. So the very first theory routes for this, when it was found around 3 years ago, were around the same as the no SBA routes, but people were just very against using it, even if it was around the same speed. They just didn't want to use it because it was really just antagonizing to play.
Such a dramatic difference in route. I mean, originally a lot of high quality cruise boosting spatulas were substituted for SBA spatulas, so it kind of initially seemed like we were removing some of the best parts of the run in exchange for boring filler where you generate currency. But fortunately, it worked out in such a way where it's so fast that you're not waiting for very long, and B, the setup is so fast that it's not like an unengaging part of the run anymore. So it really just happened to work out for the better.
Yeah, it's one of the most impressive tricks in the run now as well. It's just gotten so much more optimized, so much tougher.
Yeah.
And plus,
Absolutely.
the spatulas surrounding it now have gotten way more optimized as well. So the game just overall a spectacle now, I guess.
And thankfully for anyone wanting to learn the game, there is you don't have to do the insane only throwing one tiki that Shift has to do, because there is an easier version where you can only throw 2 tikis and it's much more friendly to new runners. And this is another reason why Goo Lagoon is one of the common reset points. So what Shift is trying to do here is, remember how when we went to skip the hub, the SpongeBob keeps track of your position and you can just store that displacement? It works the same way with this bowling ball. So if you try to bowl another one while on top of it, the game tries to put you at the height of the bowling ball. And again, if you pause and store that displacement through loads and then do a jump, you can actually get that height. And it's very tricky, especially considering that depending on where you land on the bowl, you can get varying levels of height. So it's very common for a lot to happen here. Yeah. All right.
Hey.
That was a Yoomster one too.
Eventually. Yeah, I just re-implemented the strat and a few other ones yesterday, like literally yesterday. They just got a pretty decent PB with a different route, so I wanted to switch to this one. Thought it'd be cool to show it off in this run, but you know, it's not going to be a perfect run by any means, but still wanted to show it off. Think it was worth it in the end.
And so the route that Shift is talking about, it's pretty much one of the end-all be-alls that the game was building up to. It was delayed for quite a while. It's amazing how we got like a mid 44 with having to do like certain other routes, but now that it's gotten to the point where we have to do this, it's just absolutely incredible. So speaking of sorry.
Oh my god, no, you're good, man. Right now he's entering the rock bottom level, just snagging this spatula mostly for the menu warp here, and now he's going to be doing the sleepy skip. Right? Is that still a thing? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. But yeah, this is a damage boost to get up on the Tarnation spatula, and this level used to be done all in one go, but now it's actually at a point where we do this first part now, and then after we get the cruise missile, that will give us the ability to cruise boost. You might have heard about that trick in the past, and that will allow us to clear the remaining part of rock bottom. Mainly, my favorite level in the game, the museum, which is one of the most fantastic showcases of cruise boost movement ever. But here he's doing, oh man, he nails it. The oil skip with the bash, just fucking cracked player. Excuse my profanity, I'm sorry. Oh.
We're overlooking the fact that like every time you get the Dream 2, at least with this strategy set, you always have to do back-to-back one-frame jumps. One-frame jumps. We're all just so shocked that worked first try. Yeah.
Are there more one frames now than when it was constantly joked about how the year is 2020?
Well, I mean, like one frame as in like one frame jumps? No, but I mean, I'd say the game is harder overall now, but like, I don't know, frame perfect is kind of a buzzword where it doesn't, I always just say frame perfect is a measurement of precision, not difficulty. Where, you know, there are maybe more frame perfect tricks back then, but a lot of them were just one frame jumps where you're kind of doing the same trick over and over again. Just, you know, they are very difficult, obviously. It's super difficult to get consistently, but you know, it's just a different kind of hard. Whereas now we have all these LCBs and the bowl VMS and having to keep track of different loading times in your head to be able to get the one frames out of them. Even though those specific off the loading screens aren't true one frames, they have a little bit of lag on them. And it's just, you know, it's different kind of hard. I think it's debatable because you did have to play for longer back then. 3 years ago, you're doing all those one frame jumps for 53 minutes straight. Now we're doing, you know, a lot of different types of things. You got to keep a lot of muscle memory in your head for many diverse tricks, including the one frame jumps for, you know, 10 minutes fewer. So it's, I don't know, it's hard to compare, especially because, you know, we're talking like back then, our players were all 3 years less experienced than they are now, and our knowledge was much worse. And I think context matters a lot with speedrunning. That's why these history videos that we got making right now are super important to emphasize like how it felt at the time when these crazy things did happen. And someday we'll be looking back on this wondering, you know, like someday when the run finally happens with this route, like how good was it for its time? You know, all we can do is just do the best we can. And,
another fun boss fight.
Yeah, can't get past the starfish. So
The
yeah,
thing is about this boss, it's a lot more engaging than the previous boss because you can actually, I mean, maybe not to the average viewer, it's not as engaging, but to me, I do enjoy this level because a lot of it is dependent on like enemy manipulation, especially in the third phase, even the second phase too. You can get good at this level. It does take practice to get down to a science. It can get very difficult to I mean, there's a long time where it was like what the best manipulation and strategy for this boss was pretty unclear. But I mean, Shift, how is this now for you? How do you like, you know?
Well, Phase 2 actually has a new strat. Strangely, we got a new strat for RoboPat before we got a new one for RoboSandy. But there's actually a little thing you'll see later where we do a casual strat that saves time. I'll explain it when we get there. But as far as the manipulations go, they're better nowadays, but I think it's more of a relationship between we need more time now. Like, we can't afford to lose 6 seconds. But
Right.
it's, yeah, like back in the day, it wasn't 6 seconds, you know, weren't as important back then, so it felt more consistent. I think the manipulations have overall gotten a lot better over the years, though, especially like we went through different spots where we start to get him. You'll see in Phase 3, like the way he turns. He always turns the same way, but depending on where you stand while he's turning, or when he starts spinning, he'll end up in different spots. And the first ever strategy for this was found by Cole, I believe. And that was like before I even played this game. I think he figured that out. The second one I figured out not so long after I started moving him to a different spot. You know, I started standing on a different part of the conveyor belt. But the current one that we use, which was found a little over 4 years ago by a runner by the name of Alex97, is one of the smartest strats ever found in this game, honestly. It's very overlooked, but he figured it out in such a way where it's basically impossible, like 99% impossible for him to land on one full side of the stage. So he'll never, as long as you do the manipulation the right way, regardless of where he lands, he can not physically land in the back. So you have much more control over him. As long as your movement's fast enough, you can get wherever you need to go. So you'll usually lose like maybe 8 seconds most on this on a bad one, which is bad, but not nearly as bad as it used to be. So this is the spot right here that Alex figured out. And when he figured this out, he made like a whole 30-minute video just proving that it works. And I remember at the time, like even today, it's still incredible how he figured this out. I mean, you'll see here, he's gonna land right on this side.
Yeah, and this is usually how it turns out with this manipulation. It used to be back in, like, you know, before that strat was found, it was like you would sit on a different conveyor belt and like if it worked, oh, it worked great. It would stand right in the front and you would be chilling. But if it didn't work, it would land dead in the back. So you'd have to walk all the way across all those conveyor belts and then line it up, and then, I mean, we're talking like 15 seconds of time time that would happen. So it could get really messy. I remember Fuff's split for this level was just named Free Time Loss, because like, yeah, it really was like that back in the day, where it was just like no concrete strat was really laid out for it. So you're just kind of like, man, I hope I don't get destroyed by RoboPat in the next. Yeah, we've just come so far.
Yeah, that was about an 8-second time loss. So, you know, just typical.
Typical.
All
So
right,
now
here
that we've beaten RoboPat, we now acquire the cruise missile. And if you do the cruise missile and the bubble bowl on the same frame, your bowling speed gets locked in place. So it has the essential effect of doubling your speed. So now Shift is able to make a lot of these jumps, which would normally never be possible as just regular SpongeBob. And that's part of the reason why this game's routing is very important, because it matters when you can do this, either in the early game or when you have cruise boosting. Case in point, with this spatula coming up, one of the most iconic tricks back in like 2017, 2018, before SBA. I think Ringo can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, like, I mean, the cruise boosting was like the main coveted tech. Also, he was just out here with the first try fast nut, which is one of the all-time greats. I mean, it's a frame perfect bash mixed with a cruise boost. I mean, just clearing a whole slide. Glorious guy. I mean, let's go. But yeah, so I mean, cruise boosting was like the main thing back before there was like crazy stuff like VMS and SBA. It was really just like a matter of ironing out your cruise boost movement, and like that was really what the routing. I mean, that still is what the routing is based off of, but it was a lot more streamlined towards just getting the cruise missile. Anyway, so what we have here is a LCB, which is actually a normal cruise boost done on a particular ledge, which positions you in a way where you capture an immense amount of speed on the frame you complete your cruise bubble, giving you a cruise boost that is actually a lot more than double your speed. So with these slide levels, you can there happens to be a lot of places to do these LCBs in the Sand Mountain. Combined with the slide momentum, you can absolutely just tear through these levels. And oh my god, I didn't even know about this part. What the fuck?
I kept this secret just so you could
Lacks
react
the
to
critical knowledge.
Oh no, come on.
Yeah, with LCVs, it's a lot easier to get sponge glides like that, and you can just sail over what normally is an invisible wall there. And Guppy Mountain, this section with an LCV is notoriously one of the most difficult parts of this complex route. So for talking about this game's routing, what most runners do, they would go back to Jellyfish and get a lot of those spatulas with cruise boosting. But even with cruise boosting, those spatulas were on the very bottom of the list in terms of what was fast. But they had to be all gone at once. You couldn't just like take one out. So instead of going to JF2, what you have instead is a lot of these complicated stuff like Fast Nut, like Guppy LCV, and what with Bull VMS back in early game, and there will be another one later. So the skill ceiling is just raised so much.
Yeah, this is a classic here. Not particularly difficult, but very chokeable. 2-frame window for this one. And I've missed it twice. Jeez, man. Yeah. This is a pretty big one. This was found around 3 years ago, actually. We're coming up on 3 years next month. Skips the entire slide. Just goes straight to the bottom. There we go. Third try is a charm. There's just a lot of stuff you got to keep practicing this run. It's like hard to divide your time figuring out what things to focus on at this point. So much.
Jumping ahead a little bit, we're gonna want to talk a bit about after he gets these two spatulas, he's gonna head to Rock Bottom, where there was a big routing change. For a long time, we used to run these games on disc, and we had a tech called lag clipping, where if you pause the game really fast, you could actually clip through floors. But it was recently found out that we recently discovered how those lag clips worked, and it ended up encouraging a lot of disc defacing, and that was just really bad for quality of life in the run in general.
Yeah,
so
that was an unfortunate. Sorry, if I might, because yeah, that's like the gamer gunk video thing. Maybe some of you guys got recommended a catch-up video in your feed of just ketchup smothered on top of a game disc. Well, that was something that I made. Unfortunately, I had to make that to explain what was going on. It's pretty much lag clipping, as Orion was explaining, is caused by the game going through error detection when the disc has trouble being read. So we pretty much figured out that depending on the quality of your disc, if it has scratches and smudges or whatever, you can have different quality of lag clips, especially with the combination of like how old the laser is in your Xbox. So basically it's completely arbitrary whether the lag clips work or not, depending on what kind of a drive you have and so forth. So I'm not sure if that worked. Yeah. So pretty much we discovered that there was a new drive that we didn't know about, that was an official drive nonetheless, but it was found that this particular drive had a lot of trouble lag clipping, unlike the other drives we'd used for many years until we found that one out. But the unfortunate news was that this drive had faster loads by a considerable amount than compared to the drives that we used to use. So the meta was becoming smudge your disc and put scratches on it to make the lag clips work, but keep the loads the same kind of a thing. But then we just started figuring out, okay, well, there's definitely like a medium to this where you have to scratch your disc a certain amount, just the right amount, so you get the lag clips, but you can't, you don't lose time to loading screens. And we just figured out, like, okay, well, this is just ridiculous. Like, why are we even doing this? This is arbitrary anyway, because it's just out of the game at this point. It's metagaming. The whole thing's just a metagame where you're just trying to put the right amount of ketchup and mustard on your disc to make the trick work. So we basically decided that using a disc is arbitrary for this game because of how much the quality of the disc affects the run. So we decided to allow runners to download their game to the pre-installed hard disk on the Xbox, because unlike the GameCube and the PS2, or at least most PS2s, the Xbox did have an installed hard drive that you could put your saved games on instead of using a memory card if you wanted to. So it has enough space to be able to install the game, and we just let people do that now. But as Orion was talking about, that glide where we got the purple shiny object under the map that triggers the challenge we complete. We used to do that with a lag clip, so he was just trying to explain. Sorry, I had to take over because I feel like it's a pretty, it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people don't know like the full reason why we ended up making that decision. Like a lot of people think it's because we ended up saying we don't want to scratch our discs, but the truth is like that's not a very objective reason to make a decision like that. It's more that it was found that disk use is arbitrary. But yeah, it is definitely an added benefit that the discs aren't being destroyed, because there aren't, there are plenty of copies left of this game, but someday, maybe not. And
yeah, it was one of the reasons, but it's just a whole string of rabbit holes that we've all had to go down to be able to arrive at this conclusion. And I do agree it does get misrepresented a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So should just skip the boss fight right there.
Yeah,
just
so
a casual
basically,
boss fight skip.
So for the bosses that aren't in the main hub worlds, aka Robo Sandy and Robo Pat, there are actually invisible triggers above where you spawn, and cruise boosting allows you to go out of bounds and hit those triggers and just skip bosses. You'll be seeing that more than once with this phase of the run. Basically, he's just going through these levels that he's already been passing by and just doing it all as fast as possible with cruise button. So this really shifts the game's feel from a trick-heavy, sort of like precise slow burner in the first half to a very movement-intensive 3D platformer in the second half. And that was the ballroom clip. You might remember the ballroom if you've played this game casually. Yeah, no. We do a little clipping. But yeah, and Mermalair is just such an awesome level. Right now he's getting 2 spatulas at once with the animation of the spatula pushing him in with the cruise boost momentum, excuse me. But yeah.
That level's overhaul has been incredible. I mean, for a while, there's actually another like a side category in this game that we refer to as NG+. Not a true NG+ category, but pretty much it's any %, but you get to start with the cruise bubble and bubble bowl already unlocked through use of in-game cheat codes. So you can just kind of collect the spatulas without having to fight the bosses to get the power-ups. It's like a fun little side thing. But one of the things about that category that was so unique about it and so cool is that we could do the Mermalair with cruise boosting the entire time. Because what you just saw there was not always the case. In any %, we used to have to, do more static tricks and, use Patrick to hit the funnel machines and whatnot back in the day. But ever since the introduction of the VMS route last year, we've been able to use the NG+ version of Mermalair where you do cruise boosting the entire time in any %, and it's made the run so much more fun.
Oh, I 100% agree. Mermalair has gotten, like, as someone who has learned Mermalair through mid-game and having to take those slow walks, it's such a nice change of pace to be able to do all of that in one go with cruise boosting, and it all feels seamless.
Kelp, one of the another great level. Something that really, unfortunately, kind of gets a lot of the stuff cut in any percent. However, but this is a level that cuts dramatically overhauled through cruise boosting. Basically, he is just doing this whole slide area first, which is intended to be the last area that you see in your Kelp playthrough. But with cruise boosting, it's just, you know, jump through to the back of the level and go in, grab all the objectives from the end, and then just warp. And basically, a very similar process to what you see in the Goo Lagoon level with sponge gliding, but this time just with a simple jump.
Yeah, this section got heavily nerfed when we moved to hard drive because the spatula that Shift is going for right now, the Swamp Cage, we used to do that with a lag clip. But even back then, Swamp Cage was notorious for being one of the most inconsistent, not because of the lag itself, but because of how it interacts with the geometry, and sometimes you could just get displaced in weird ways. So with that lag clip gone, it makes Kelp a much more consistent segment.
Yeah, the only thing you gotta really worry about here is the L control, which I wasn't able to get this run, unfortunately. But sometimes you'll be able to attempt this trick where you can press the L trigger on the first frame that you touch a spatula and be able to control your camera while you're moving, like while you're collecting the spatula, because usually you can't do anything while you're watching this, but if you press L on the frame that you touch it, you can actually turn your camera, and because of cruise boosting, you can move around just by turning the camera while you're collecting a spatula. So there are some spots like there in Kelp Forest where you can use it to move around and accomplish stuff while you're waiting for the spatula to go through. They're pretty cool when they happen, but you only got one shot at them, and they do save quite a bit of time each. At this point, 3 seconds is, you know, that's a lot for something this deep, like Kelp Forest being so late in the run. Crucial.
So Graveyard, which is the last main world we'll be entering here, has had quite a bit of an up and down ride throughout this game's history because of this one spatula right here, the Goo Cage. Now, for a long time, back when 2016, this spatula would never be gotten because normally you'd have to pay a clam, and back when shiny object management mattered, there's just no way you would be able to pay for that. But when SB8, no, actually, I'm getting my history mixed up. Back in 2018, Alex97 found a way to clip into the cage with a very precise bowl and a one-frame input, and it was one of the most notorious tricks in the run. Players like Shift and Ringo would spend Ringo, did you ever grind GCC?
So, I was actually fortunate enough to not be at the level to require GCC in my routes, but Jared, I remember Jared was pretty damn good at GCC. Pretty sure Conquer Hacks was capable of pulling out GCC just for the vibe. But yeah, I mean, that was something that was a pretty exclusive strat. I don't remember if Rubber Toe was
No, you definitely did, 100%. Also,
sure,
if you wanna see any history about specifically the history of that Goo Cage, one of our runners, JBHJ, recently uploaded a pretty cool video detailing the history of it. So if you're ever curious about that specific trick's history, at least while you're waiting for the next parts of the documentary, that's a great place to get a little quickie, you know, very short, brief, give you the rundown. He's got a lot of videos like that on his channel, so
by the way.
Be sure to check him out. He's got a lot of good content.
The game has a documentary, by the way. Just gloss that over.
Yeah, I usually shout out the history videos at the end, but I guess, you know, there's just too much to talk about in the run to even mention side stuff.
It's just a speed run where there's just zero downtime other than the bosses. There's just so much happening in once.
If you listen closely here, you'll hear the little spatula animation and SpongeBob laughing. So I lined up this button press with the cannons to collect the spatula during this cutscene, so that way we saved a little bit of time just not having to, well, actually it's 5 seconds, it's a lot. But yeah, pretty much we got to hit that button to unlock this level, which is also an exploit in and of itself. But we got to pick and choose what we explain because there's just so much to explain. Yeah, it's a neat little 5-second movement time save. A little bit precise, highly chokeable.
And as he explains this, he scales an out-of-bounds ship to skip the level, or skip the Dutchman fight, you know. As he is describing that you have to pick and choose what you can describe. That's really just how this game is. It gets to the point where there is just too much for us to cover over. Like...
And then on top of that, remember how I talked about that GCC used... That the goo cage used to be one of the hardest mats to run?
Wow.
Oh.
That displacement was unreal.
Commentator's curse.
Shift, you actually suck at this game. I thought you were talented, but...
You saw
okay,
that
so
commentators. That was crap. That was total crap.
Commentator's curse. So that trick is actually a lot. It was actually notoriously, like, when that trick got found to replace the harder version of GCC, that was universally celebrated as a pretty nice way to make the run much more consistent. And I just completely cursed Shift on that, so I apologize.
Yeah, that was hilarious though. Like. Just sent me completely to the left. Like, I don't even know what that was.
You're out here getting fast, not first try. I mean, it's only natural that fails, right?
Yes, marathons.
Oh my god.
That strat's cool.
The Robo Sponge. So yeah, another invisible trigger being utilized there. Skipping this first phase, and now we got the brain surgery. Now, back in my day, this was not what you would do. You would literally just go, take the trampoline loop, and call it a day. But now you use some cruise boosting to clip into this out of bounds section here, where you manually hit the fuses with your wand. Which, you know, if you played this game, this might look a bit foreign to how you remember the final boss fight going. But yeah, this is one of my favorite parts that's been added over the years.
All right.
Yeah,
nice showcase of a lot of stuff.
Time.
But as you guys can see, we got a lot to work on. A bunch of these tricks. This is my first time doing some of these, like the fast nut and, you know, Guppy Mound LCB, some of that stuff, the bowl VMS. First time doing these in like 3 months, but figured it was worth it to show it off for you guys. But just to show there's a lot of room for improvement. A lot left to take off of this game. 43, sub 44 is in the possibility realm at the moment. It's gonna happen someday. And we just got a 44 as well, so, you know, no brakes on the train. 5 years I've been running this, and 5 years been non-stop. Just non-stop. As we were talking, you know. Ringo's been here the whole time, watching from the sidelines, sometimes grinding himself, but, you know, he's still surprised by some of the stuff this game has to offer. And I love getting the commentary from you, Orion, as well, like, getting your takes on some of the old stuff that we used to deal with, you know, like the C-Need old cycles and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for helping me out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It was great to be here, and it was great to watch and just hang out. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shift, for agreeing to run SpongeBob for us again. So much to talk about, a lot of in-depth stuff. So really happy we were able to get this back on the show to explain it more. So thank you. And all of you watching, if you enjoyed the run, please make sure you follow Shift here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Shift. And thanks very much.
Follow Ringo Tongo on Twitter. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
He's gone.
Yeah, to Ringo and Orion as well.
Thank you, Ringo. Have a good night, man.
Appreciate that. But thanks so much for tuning into tonight's episode, everyone. I've been your host, Smooth Operative. Tomorrow on Hotfix, we have the Bargain Bin, followed by Speedruns from the Crypt. That'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you then. Take it easy.